For my underdogs, the ones willing to pay the cost. Even when we're up, we gotta take a loss. Underdogs are always against the odds. I'ma use this opportunity to do it for my underdogs. I'ma do this for my underdogs. I'ma do this for my underdogs. I'ma do this for my underdogs. Yeah, my underdogs.
Welcome back. Season 3, first episode of the Rec Center podcast. Man, I know y'all been waiting. I know there's a lot of questions of what was going on, but man, we just wanted to make things bigger and better for y'all. I'm Kenny Edwards, man. Always joined my co-host Lorenzo Parham. What's going on, man? I miss you.
Hey man, Ken, but hey, we had to let the audience wait. We had to do the first episode of season 3 the right way, and
Absolutely.
the way we had to do this right was give us some time. We needed this guest to be available, right? We didn't want to open it up with nobody else other than this guest, man. And we talk OEL, but we can't talk OEL without this guy name being mentioned in all of our conversations we didn't have, man. So I'm excited to get this story out completely because, Ken, this story is going to take us back to the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Real OAL staple, the 80s, right?
Real.
And we
Yes.
going to bring that in, man. So let's welcome the real Coach Carter to the podcast, man. Zoe, how you doing, Zoe?
What's up, man? I love what y'all doing. I've been watching it. I've been enjoying it. And I appreciate y'all having me on. And I think it's wonderful that, like I mentioned to y'all, you're getting different perspectives. And even for me, I'm being educated, listening to the brothers from Skyline and Oakland Tech, Oakland High, Castlemont, Fremont, just hearing not only just football, basketball stories, coaching stories. You hear these different people, and just to hear it, man, it's great. I coach football and coach track, so my perspective is pretty broad. And then I even love watching OAL basketball. That was the thing. OAL basketball was the thing. And then let's not leave out OAL baseball. Sometimes that gets lost because we have the Trans-Bay thing where we go open against San Francisco, which I remember when Tech beat San Francisco back when you was there, Lolo, back in the day. So it's just beautiful to have these conversations and to create a buzz and get some input and some dialogue going. So whatever y'all want to know, brother, let's go. I'm ready.
Hey,
Well,
man,
hold on, Lo. So, Coach, me and Lo, sometimes, depending on who the guest is, we have to let them know. Take your guard down. We need West Oakland.
I ain't in no
feeling. We don't want the recruit.
You don't want the coach. You don't want Coach Lorenzo.
I'm going to take care of your son and make him a better man.
No. You see, I'm on my Mac coaches. You see my background. This ain't got nothing to do with where I am. You're talking to Alonzo Carter from Mac House. Mac.
Yes,
so Ken, with that being said, we will not ask no D1 questions, Ken.
Nope.
We're going
no tampering or nothing.
The statute of limitations
do not ask me nothing because I don't want to get in trouble. You talk to me about me.
The statute of limitations has expired, and what we gonna talk about? The statute of limitations is gone, man. So,
I give it to you.
Yes. It is the Rec Center, Zoe. I'm not sure how Rec Center was ran back when you was coming up, man, or was it just Boys and Girls Club? But what Rec Center did you grow up playing at with these sports?
Well, to be honest, when I went to Prescott Elementary School and due to my family situation, brother, growing up in Campbell Village, Westwood Garden, West Oakland, my mom wasn't really able to provide that extra to have us go to a quote-unquote rec center. But there was things at Prescott that we did, and then one of the most competitive basketball teams I ever had to see was when it was Wiley Thomas and Demetrius Hook Mitchell and Keith Givens, all them dudes, Felton Hopkins, Feli, all them dudes was on a team, and they played in the Bushrod tournament against Bushrod's basketball team. And then Popular had a basketball team. I was the stat man. I didn't play no hoop. I was taking the stats, and it was like Hook, fifth in the sixth grade, man. Him and Wiley Thomas, that was dynamic. And I used to go up there, and that's when being from West Oakland, you never really get a chance to go to North Oakland. So that was my first time going into Bushrod. You heard all these things about Bushrod, and it was standing room only, man. It was these are fifth and sixth graders in a tournament, and it was like, whoa, and it was just overwhelming to see that. And growing up, they also had the Flag League at Deformity Park, and Popular with Paul Polk. He used to win that all the time. So it was a lot of things like that. I played on the flag football team and things like that because I couldn't afford to play back then. It was only the Oakland Dynamite. So as far as rec, all my stuff was done at Prescott, you know, growing up watching Hook dunking in the 5th or 6th grade, way back then, playing with the older guys. And we play a lot of tackle the man with the football on the grass. So it wasn't no real organized stuff, but I did get a chance to play flag football for Prescott Elementary for the school. They had their own team. Coach Tillis was our coach. Quill Moe played with us. You know, Hook, you know, all of us was on one team. And we had a good team, but they're popular, man. Green Machine, they weren't no joke. Pooh, Coach Peters, he was the fast dude. He used to have wheels, you know. It was him and Fred Walker and all them guys, man. Frank Cooks, they all played for Popular, and they was the team to beat back then when I was growing up. And in basketball, it was Bushrod.
Hey Ken, I'm not sure if I told you this or whatnot, but I'm West Oakland planted, right? So my family grew up in the places that Zoe talked about, right? And I remember as a kid being at the park and my uncle RB giving Hook money to dunk over cars and shit, right?
Oh, yeah, Hook been crazy.
I'm there, Ken. I'm 4 years old and remember this, right? Because, you know, and it was a time when Zoe found out who my family was and said, hold on, why the hell you ain't at Mac? the whole family from West Oakland, right? The whole family from West Oakland, right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about different perspectives, like we spoke on early, what was like West Oakland growing up when you was coming up?
Man, it was tradition, man. It was just, when you were a kid, you went to Prescott. From Prescott, you know, you end up going to Lowell. If you was from Cole, you went to Lowell. If you're from Lafayette or something, you probably would go to Marcus Foster. You know, so all those different schools, we were all connected. And then once you got to middle school, they would play each other. That's the first time I seen Greg Irvin, which played for Popular. Greg was dunking at Lowell, you know, and I met Lee Murphy and all them guys. All them dudes was like ballers in their own areas because growing up, we used to call it the boonies, what they call the lower bottoms. The boonies would play against Acorn or Cypress Village or Morehouse or 2-4 or Ghost Town. You would have games like grass tackle, full-blown tackle football games against the different turfs. We don't have games, you know, we call them different turf, different areas. So even the Boonies would play against, it'd be Campbell Village against Westwood Garden, which is where I was from. So it would be like us playing against 9th Street, you know, when Ricky Rideout and Pooh, he hustled me, talking about he was from out of town, talking about he's from Louisiana. That was his cousin. But that just shows you how big West Oakland was. Pooh lived over there by Mac. I had never been by Mac. Back then, you had that freeway before the earthquake. If you was from that part of West Oakland, you didn't go past that freeway. Because when you go past that freeway, you enter into Morehouses and Acorn. And if you don't know them dudes, which I didn't meet till I got to middle school, that was a scary walk. You know, you got to go to Pines. You got to walk to the store to Pines Market. You're like, I don't want to go to that store. Send me down to the other store. Send me to Cooper's or something. So you kind of knew your areas and you knew your boundaries. But once everybody got to Mac, that's what made Mac what it was. Back then, it was about 800-900 students there. And just the tradition, everybody wanted to play for Mac, School of Champions. You knew about Bill Russell. You knew about Paul Silas. You knew about Frank Robinson. You wanted to get to Mac because when you walked in the door, it was just all these trophies, man, big old trophy case. And you just felt like, I want to be next, whether it be football, track, baseball, you know, basketball for sure, because Mac was always known as a basketball school, and ROTC. We have one of the best ROTC units in there. And then, Chop, God rest his soul, he was the mascot, coldest mascot out. And he got that from Vinnie McGee, when Vinnie McGee, senior, used to be the mascot. I wanted to be a mascot for Mac. That was like a tradition. It was just, Mac has so much tradition. So all the sports, man, was so competitive in the OAL, man. Remember, I graduated in 86. We had the Fleming brothers at Fremont. You had the Lowry brothers at Tech. You had Greg Foster and Gary Payton at Skyline. And then you got Antonio Davis and Hook at Mac. So that right there, man, was just like, whoa. Then you used to have the Jamboree when the East would play against the West.
Yeah.
So you had at Laney standing room only. You don't get there early, you're not getting in. So you would have Tech, Oakland High, and Mac versus Skyline, Fremont, and Castlemont, and it would be off the hook. Music playing, everybody got on their colors. I mean, it was just the brand of sports that I grew up in the OAL, just from a childhood getting to my climates, man, it's so different now, man. It was, I mean, there was certain tensions, but it was also a respect. You know, you had certain respect for each other. As long as you didn't disrespect nobody or cross that line, you wanted to see them dudes play. And most importantly, you wanted to play against them. You wanted to, like when I ran track, Eric Broussard was at Oakland High. You know, Leon Patterson was at Skyline. Jeff Good was at Skyline. Markel Knox was at Oakland High. He owned the OAL record in the 400 meters. So Jeff Lanes, you know, he ended up running professional. All them dudes, they was at other schools, man, but you knew who they was. You knew who they were. You knew Sway, the Callaway brothers, Jonathan Callaway and Terry Callaway. They was at Oakland High. You knew Oakland High had all the track people because 1980 Track Club, which I ran for 1 year, all the runners from 1980 would go to Oakland High. So they were really known for their track program. So you wanted to beat Oakland High or Skyline if you was a track person. If it was football, it was Skyline or Oakland High. Those were the two teams running stuff all through the 80s. It was before there was a Silver Bowl playoff. The Silver Bowl used to be whoever won the OAL. You win the OAL, you consider it the Silver Bowl champ. And it was normally Oakland High or Skyline, other than Mac when they won it in 79. So you just wanted to have that tradition. Then basketball, oh man, basketball was a whole different beast. Beast in basketball. So that's why me listening to those other guys, the Tim Pierce and them and Frank Knights, you know, telling their view from that side of it, it was good to hear that because you only view it from my end. Coach Mo, you know, state champ, you know, I get to hear it from that view, knowing because Mo went to Mac, Boozy went to Mac. So we always had that. We felt like we was the best in everything. You know, that was just how McClymon's mentality was, a school of champions, that big old school of champions circle in the middle of the gym. We live by that, man. We love that. We still like that. We bleed black and orange. That's what you see. I still got my color. You see all these championships, man. You know, coach. You know, go ahead.
So when we talk about Mac family and how it was back then, what was it like was it we hear like Oakland High was the football school and Skyline was the football school. Mm-hmm. As competitors, I want to beat those dudes, right? Yes. I'm not jumping on that. I want to beat them. What was like with a West Oakland kid in that area saying, you know what, I'm good. I want to go play over there and not go to Mac.
Well, here's the thing. We talked about it off air. I ain't gonna front any people off. With Mac, you was dealing with, I'm gonna say 90 to 95% West Oakland kids. But let's be real, Oakland High and Oakland Tech, we always felt like there were players that should be going to Mac, and for whatever reasons, the families didn't want them going to school in West Oakland or being uncomfortable with West Oakland.
I feel
so
attacked.
They went to other schools. So part of you competitive, but you're like, wait a minute. Don't your family, didn't your people, you feel like they're supposed to be with you because we wasn't tripping. When the 80s come rolling around and then it gets to going, you want to beat, like you say, you want to beat Oakland High or Skyline, which end up going on a long run. But how am I beat Skyline when all the people that are supposed to be at Mac, we all breaking off, going to different places, and primarily, ironically, both of y'all from Oakland High and Oakland Tech. Let's keep real, there was a lot of West Oakland kids that went to Tech and Oakland High. They just did, and I'm not knocking it, trust me, because I'm a parent. You send your kid where you think they should go. But when you in the competitive heat of the moment, you'd be like, man, what if we had Kenny Edwards and Lolo over here with us with what we got? And to us, Josh Johnson, if he was our quarterback, if he was over here with us. So you start thinking like that automatically because you got tired of seeing certain players, y'all know as well as I know, I ain't gonna say no name, driving up that hill every day from the flatlands that did not live in Skyline's area. We all know it. It was no secret. I ain't hating on it. It is what it is. But a a large group of the dynamite players and coaches came from the flatland, and they all migrated up that hill, and they created, to their credit, dynasty. We created something you wanted to beat, created something that you wanted to compete for. When I was there, 85, Skyline was 10-0 with Coach Fardella. They had Dwayne Gardner. He went to USC. They were very good. They beat De La Salle that year. Skyline was 10-0 in 85, man. There was no playoff. They were undefeated. They were one of the top teams in the East Bay. In 86, they won it again. I think they went 9-1. So those teams were good. And Coach Bean was the coordinator on that team. So Coach Fardella had it. So once he let it, Coach Bean became the head coach after Fardella. So all he did was just kept their tradition going like it was going. So Skyline was that team you wanted to beat. And that's why if you couldn't get them in football, okay, well, we're going to get them in basketball. You can't get them in basketball, but we're going to get them on this track. So you just found different ways to make yourself relevant, to be competitive enough to want to compete with them guys. And you respected those different players from them different schools, but you wasn't crazy. If it was a dude that you knew was from your neighborhood, but he at the other school, you competed against him, but you also felt like, come on, man, why you ain't over here with us? And I'm talking about when I was in school. So it didn't stop. It just kept on going. But it was less of it when I was in school, because you got to remember, in the 90s, and we get to talking 2000s, now you're talking the parents of those players that probably felt like, you know what, I want to send my kid here for whatever. And even Berkeley High. I worked at Berkeley High. But you know how many kids from Oakland went to Berkeley High that did not live in Berkeley? So let's just, so it wasn't just Skyline and Oakland High. We're talking Berkeley High, Oakland Tech. A lot of them kids that could have been at McClymonds kind of chopped and cherry picked some of the good ones that went to other schools. Then we got to read about them. And you'd be like, man,
Right.
what if he was with us, man? And even when I was coaching, I was like, wait a minute now.
I know he.
So, you just see all that. But the competitive part of you just compete, man. And now, ironically, when things flip, which we'd probably talk about later. And
we will talk about the dominance.
And it went the other way. A whole lot of crime started. A whole lot of people start crying. So that Mac family thing always meant something to us, man. And we wanted to make sure that regardless of who it was, because, old school, they was like, we lose a game, we're going to win the fight. That was the whole thing they used to always say at Mac. If you look at the football field, that concrete wall, one way in, one way out, your bus, you got to walk that long walk through the basketball courts to the fence.
Right.
And you got to walk out too. So it was a whole home field advantage thing that they took pride in. But man, we was competitive with everybody, man. That was just what Mac is, and it's like that to this day. We always felt like we was the underdog. Even when we was winning, we felt like we was the underdog. So that's just the mentality.
Now that Mac family thing is real though, because I know,
Yes.
Coach Carter, both my mom and dad and all my aunties, and you probably went to school with some of them. But it was real. Like I for the longest time, I thought Boozy was my biological uncle. Like he was in my house all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Even Coach York.
All
them dudes. They was always at the house.
I
thought they was like my dad's brothers.
They all it's real, man. That's
that Mac family thing is serious.
Like the Bodleys, like he's saying, Charles and Rob and all them. I got to coach Rob Bay and Little Rob, but that's like a tradition, man. That's family, man. I see them dudes to this day and they give me love. So it's not no for the moment type of thing. I don't know what y'all relationships are with some of y'all former students or alumni, whatever. We don't care what year you can. We don't even want to still do the Mac picnic.
The picnic, absolutely.
That's huge, man. That's family, man.
I'm gonna say we tried the tech picnic. We tried it. It didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't look the same. The alumni game didn't look the same.
No, man, that's alumni game,
alumni.
Picnic,
I grew
all
up
those
on those,
things, man. That's huge, man. But that's just the tradition, man. When you from West Oakland and you take pride in that because it's a small niche and you're gonna be scrappy, you're gonna be competitive, and you're gonna give it your best, and you don't hate. Man, we don't get into all that,
So Zoe, back when you was playing, coming through high school, playing football, running track, what was recruiting like back then? And You know, you had a school like Cal State Hayward you went to that didn't
Mhm.
have football no more. What was recruiting like in the OEL back then for football and track athletes, or even basketball?
It was hard, man. That's why, and I'm gonna give them credit because I remember coming out. I didn't get a scholarship. My good friend Kier Abrams, he ended up getting a scholarship to UC Davis. We graduated together, and like I said, in basketball, you had Gary Payton going to Oregon State, and Greg Foster went to UTEP. Antonio Davis was graduated with us. He also went to UTEP. So it was kind of like recruiting was real scarce as far as Division I. You know, you had some guys that would go. Back then, you had a lot of Division II programs. San Francisco State had a program, Chico, Humboldt, Hayward, Sonoma State, Santa Clara. All of them had football back then. Wasn't no Title IX before it took it to sports.
Yeah.
You had football, Cal State, Northridge. So you had some options. But most guys, to be honest, Lolo, they was walking on. You know, they wouldn't get recruited like me. I was a walk-on. I walked up to Hayward, filled out a questionnaire. Hey, one day we practiced. Ironically, Al and Avery Simmons, which are Oakland High graduates, they were first-year coaching. They looked out for me and told me what day to be out there. And I just walked out there and made the football team. Coach Willie White was the track coach from Berkeley High, and I got a chance to run track for him. He's one of the legends of track coaches, that one of the best ever to do it. So I bet on myself because, you know, my first year, man, I caught the bus and BART from North Oakland because my senior year we moved to North Oakland, right on 59th and Cannon. So I used to catch the bus and BART to Hayward every day, catching the BART to the Hayward BART and then get on the 92 and go up the hill. And it was a life-changing experience for me because I was just so grateful. I'll never forget, we had a home game. We had a home game, and then Mac had a home game. I put my jersey on and I wore it back to the Mac football game. And I just felt proud of myself because I was kind of counted out, man. I had a son at 17, my senior year. My son's born in January, which he just made 35. Shout out to Lil Zoe. He is a January baby. So that means fall of my senior year in football, I got a baby on the way. So I'm stressed out on that. Had an average football season. Lost to Tech last play of the game, 8-6. Yeah. Ran back and kicked. I still feel that. Big fail hit me in my face and all kinds of stuff.
I'm sure he still brings it up.
He still teased. Oh, yeah, he teased. That dude ripped me. Big fail ripped me and hit me in my face. My whole face was so numb. I'm still like, man. I said, no, you had to rip that. Back then, you had to rip pad. You had to rip pad. It was legal. I was playing outside linebacker at 165 pounds. He playing fullback. He must have hit me in my face, and I'll never forget that. But you had all these different dynamics pulling against me, man, because my spring season now when track is going on, my son's born in January, I'm working at the Acorn McDonald's when they first opened it. So I'm working the night shift. So my senior year, bro, was a wash. I ended up pulling both hamstrings. That's like I said, you had Eric Broussard at Oakland High, Leon Patterson and Jeff Good at Skyline. I mean, it was Ken Trammell was at Oakland Tech. You know, so you have dudes that was good in track, and I was like one of the top 3 sprinters coming back. And I didn't get to compete my senior year because I pulled both hamstrings in the preseason. And in football, like I told you, we went 0-9-1. We tied Castlemont. You know, that was our only tie. We didn't win a game. We lost a lot of close games. We only had 20 players on our whole team. So it was just a disappointment for me. So I really didn't get recruited. So I bet on myself and felt like I was just as good as them other guys. I just had to get my life together and not really having no mentors or somebody to kind of give me direction. I just kind of said, hey, this is what I'm going to do, which led to me being a coach later because I didn't want nobody to experience what I had to go through. My father went in my life. I didn't meet my father until I was 23 years old. And here I am being a father now myself. My mom was going through some situations with her health. And then my little brother was in the streets doing some things. So I really didn't have no direction. The only thing that saved my life was me going to college because I knew if I had stayed in Oakland, man, I wouldn't be here talking to y'all. So it was able me to commute that first year. I don't know how I did it. Art Mitchell from Fremont. See, that's back when Merritt had
Art,
football.
yeah.
I remember Coach Art.
Art took care of me. If it weren't for Art Mitchell, there's no Alonzo Carter. Because Merritt had football back then with Coach Kiefer and them. So once Merritt, a lot of their players would transfer. And they was at Cal State Hayward as well. Cal State Hayward was big on junior college. Shout out to my brother Vince Borderline. He was one of the guys that looked out for me. He's doing good. He was just battling COVID. He's out the hospital. Prayers to him and his family. But Vince took care of me. Dave Hill from Fremont High School took care of me. Art Mitchell, Denny. All them dudes looked after me, man. With the Chico. So those were the players, man. They kind of looked out. Look, man, you can ride with me. Art had this white Mustang.
Art always got a nice.
Had the Mustang. He drove me to school. And I was amazed with him because not only was he playing football and going to school, he worked at FedEx. I'm like, man, so you working at FedEx at the time, man? You working? Eddie Turner from Mac went to San Francisco State, which they never beat us, by the way. We kicked Eddie every time. So it was just having a group of dudes that kind of took me in and said, we're going to help you. We're going to make sure that you have resources to get to and from practice. Sometime I was spending the night at Art House. Art opened up he had a Raider everything. Raider swimming pool.
Still the same way.
Raider jerk. Everything Raider. And I'm like, man, why wouldn't we sleep? I sleep on my Raider blankets. You had the Raider blankets on the couch. So it was just crazy. But it really just, I appreciate him because he's seen something in me that I didn't see in myself. Because I was this close from giving up and going to the Army. I was just it was the Army or the Marines because I couldn't. I was scared for my life. I had a son. I had my good friend Yafael, which back then his name was Benny Nelson. He went to Bishop O'Dowd. Him and Benny White. Me and Benny White went to elementary school together. I watched them have success in football and track at Bishop O'Dowd, and I'm like but they were on track to go to college. And another thing which helped me, which would have met me meet people like y'all. I went to Mills College Upper Bound. Upper Bound gave you 6 weeks on the college campus, giving that experience how it is to live in the dorms. And during your school year on Saturdays, you would have to go to school. So even though I went to MAC 5 days a week, every Saturday, I'm competing academically with students from Tech, Skyline, Bishop O'Dowd, Oakland High, whatever, making sure that on a curriculum standpoint that I knew how to apply and get into a Cal State Hayward, San Jose State, which I got accepted to, Sonoma State, Chico State. So they taught you how to apply and go to college and do all these different things. So Upper Bound was, if you want to call my rec center, that was my rec. I did academic stuff every summer. I got a scholarship to go to there. Me and Kier Abrams, that's when we met at Lowe's. That's been my best friend ever since 8th grade. We both went to Upper Bound for 5 years. So from 8th grade summer all the way to I graduated Summer Bridge, which is my senior year after graduation, I was on the college campus, man, getting college prepped to how it was to just get away from West Oakland, man. Just get away from West Oakland. The furthest I had ever been as a kid growing up was East Mount Mall. I didn't even know what Hayward was, bro. Well, that's why I went to Hayward. Benny Nelson took me on a ride. I was stressed out because little Zoe was getting ready to be born and I didn't know what I was going to do. And we on the 580 freeway. And I'm like, where are we going? He said, we're going to go sit down and talk. He took me up to Cal State Hayward to Warren Hall. And he just parked his car. And you can see the bay, just like you see in the background. You can just see the whole bay. And I knew then, this is where I'm come to go to school. I want to go to college here. And so I applied, got in school, played football, walked on the football team and walked on the track team. I owe that to Benny, because Benny, I never knew nothing past Bayfair Mall. Bayfair Mall was a bonus. And Southland, oh my God. Yeah, Southland.
Like a suitcase.
That's another state. That's another state.
It was just, you just knew because growing up, West Oakland cats, you ain't venturing too far past East Oakland. Not with 6'9" Ville was hot back then, 85th Ville. You ain't, I don't want no problems. So used to go to that East Mount Mall movie theater and you get right back on that 40 and go right back about your business. So I never knew nothing past East Mount Mall as a kid. And it's sad, but that was my reality. 17 years of my life. I didn't know nothing past East Mount Mall. And that was just, my mom didn't have a car, so it was just catching the buses. And my only activities was through Mills College, Upper Bound, intermingling with the Denny's and all those guys like that just helped me navigate who I am to this day.
Absolutely. Hey, Ken, I think the landscape of the Bay Area football would be a lot different if we still had them programs. If Cal
Yes.
State Hayward still had a
Oh
football
Yeah,
team.
man.
absolutely.
San
San
Francisco
Francisco
State
State.
still,
Hey,
because it gives people who stop playing after their senior year the
give you a hope.
option to
Right.
walk on,
Right.
right? It gives
Yes.
you the option. It'll be totally
Yes.
different
Way
Totally
different.
because
different.
Yeah.
what happened is your perspective changed when you see things, right?
Yep.
When you see things, your perspective changed.
Man, you know how
Where
many kids, you know how many guys went to Chico State and ball? Mike Bellotti was the head coach, the coach from
mm,
Oregon. Mike
Oregon,
Bellotti was the coach
Oregon,
at Chico State. And he
mm,
started off at Cal State Hayward with my coach, Tim Tierney. So do you know how many guys that went from Oakland to Chico just to get away and
hmm
get to play ball? Cats was up at Humboldt State just to get away, just to play ball. We don't have that. You're right, Lolo. With that, all the even the JUCOs, and you had Merritt and Laney back then.
yeah,
You had two options to even play JUCO ball. So it's stuff is tough, man. So
yeah,
now you got
man,
guys going out of state to these NAIAs and Division II, Division III schools. They see they can't afford it because it's out of state fees, and guess what? They come back home
Right.
and it just stunts their dream. They don't want to play no more because they can't afford to go to school, and they pride be hurt because they had to come back home and they just kind of, oh, I'm good, and then they don't get a degree. And
right.
that's the hardest part. There's a lot of dudes that went to college, whether they walked on or not, didn't finish and get their degree because they couldn't play ball. And they just like, man, I get it. I didn't get to play. They did me wrong. They brought me way out here to wherever, lied to me. Told me I got to
Boy.
take a loan. I got to pay
Cali-
for this. I got to pay for
Boy.
that. Man, I'm gone. And they go back home and they don't play no more.
I
You know
think
how
we could
many,
do a whole episode on on
man.
how they unwrap everything when you get
Oh
on
Hey,
yeah,
campus.
bro.
so one thing Coach Edwards told me, shout out to Coach Edwards, don't go to no
Big Delton.
don't go to no JUCO far away. You go end up homeless.
Oh,
This is exact words, right? Ken, me and Lawrence Parks goes to Long Beach City College.
Mm-hmm.
And in Southern California, their JUCO starts 2 weeks before ours, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I start school at Long Beach City College. But like Coach Edwards said, man, we about to be homeless. We ain't no money. Ken, listen to me. I left him. I hit the cab and went straight to the Greyhound and came back up to school and rode at Mare. Like, hey man, I'm
Yeah,
not doing that. He
yeah,
stayed down there.
yeah.
Coach Edwards told me, man, you're gonna end up homeless. You go to a JUCO out of your city.
Yeah. Delton had that experience. You know, Delton was one of the best. The Delton Elton show. You know, Oakland High, and he balled at Merritt. And he always talks about his experience he had at Illinois. You know, it was a tough experience, but that's like one of my big brothers. Me and him got real tight because his experience, even though it was different from mine, it was something that we shared and we felt a bond from that to this day. You know, we both got into coaching to give experiences back to you, like what he told you. Hey man, don't do this. You need to do that. And that was the whole reason why you get into coaching. It was you want to win, trust me, but it's
Yeah.
all about trying to navigate people so they don't have to go through what you went through. And Ken, I don't know, Ken, you got kids?
man, too many of them.
Okay, so y'all get it. You're
Oh,
gonna make sure, both of y'all gonna make sure y'all children, although I already see you with yours. You're gonna make sure they don't have to go through what you went through. You're gonna try to
Yeah.
shield them from some of them paths and some of them wrong turns or angles you took. Not saying you ended up bad. I don't think I ended up bad, but I want to make sure my son, that same son I had, Alonzo Carter II, which is 35 years old, with his degree from Cal State East Bay. The same kid I held as a baby on that football field, I watched him walk that stage and graduate on that football field, man. It was just so surreal. All three of my nieces graduated from Cal. And then my other son right now, he's with me at San Jose State. And my other son is a sophomore at UC Berkeley on an academic scholarship. My daughter's a senior at Northridge. So I'm able to navigate and tell them how to make it through this process and how to adjust because if it was tough for me, and if I didn't have people like Art Mitchell and Amin Denny and Dave Hill, Eddie Turner, I wouldn't have made it through that. Al Simmons was my coach. I wouldn't have made it through that. There's no way I would have made it through that because I didn't have no direction. And I was angry. I was angry. I didn't get recruited. Y'all got me messed up. I was upset. I was mad with my coach because I didn't feel like he helped me. You know, he actually said something that kind of motivates me to this day. He looked around all our senior group and said, out of everybody in here, Carter, I think you the one, I don't think you're gonna make it. And I was like, whoa, why me? And looking back on it, I understand what he was trying to say. I was one of them guys when I messed up, I always had an explanation behind it. I always wanted to explain. And part of that is Coach Michael Peters' fault because he would always get me in trouble. And my coach didn't have the greatest vision, and he would blame me for shit Pooh would do. And I'd be like, no, it was, and before I could snitch, he would just bite my head off. So me and Coach Peters laugh about this stuff all the time. The punt on center snap he was the punter against Castlemont. I'm the personal protector. We got a freshman, and I'm telling him to scoot up so he don't get a legal procedure penalty. Who does the dang hand signal? They hike the ball, hits off my shoulder pad, it rolls, they recover it, they get a touchdown the next play. It's 6-6. He said if we lose this game, it's Carter's fault, which I still wear to this day. We end up tying. And Coach Peters gonna see this. He won't own that. It wasn't my fault. It was your fault, man. You weren't back there flicking your hands, man.
Right.
And the coach think it's my fault. So, it's memories like that, man, that you want to make sure that your children or your loved ones or your family or your close friends' children understand those situations and how I can make them better. Because I watched y'all play, so it's so surreal to even see y'all as dads now and to be on here talking to y'all, man. I'm proud of y'all because I know y'all journey.
So Zoe, in every episode we talk about the coaches and the mentors that played a role. And like I told Ken, man, I was what would be considered the classic fuck up, right? Even when I was doing it the right way, it ended up wrong, right? I'm ineligible my junior year.
Yep.
Don't play.
Which I wasn't mad. I was like, good.
Don't play.
Yeah,
But
I'm
sitting with 4 A's and 2 F's, right? 4 A's and 2 F's. And
that was the craziest rule ever. 2 F's, you automatically ineligible.
One of the F's is in PE, and I'm blaming everybody but myself, knowing it was my fault, right? And I did that dance for a long time. I messed up, blamed somebody else, and it wasn't until signing day 98. I think you guys had 6 signees or some shit like that. Skyline had what they had, and we had our 2. And I sat back there, and it was tears in my eyes. I'm watching Mikey sign this thing, and I felt like I was better or just up there with everyone.
Should have been part of that year. Yeah, you should have been. I agree.
And I'm like, I was the only one out of all them guys that played their 10th grade year and made varsity. Ramin played his 10th grade year. I remember Ramin being a backup quarterback or something. His 10th grade year, but I played 10th grade year, made all city that year, and here it go. And that was my wake up call. Like, you know what? I'm gonna have to go to Laney and get it together because I know I can play. And if these dudes can sign, I could get up out of here, So it was those things and stuff like that where we blame other people for our mistakes and stuff like that. And that's why one of the big words I teach with these kids and things that I coach would be accountability. And I learned a lot of my coaching style from guys like you, Coach Edwards, and Coach Pittman from track. Because my daughter my daughter is running track with Coach Pittman. And
Coach Pittman ain't no joke, baby. 3M all day. My dude.
He had us as parents scared to be late because I'm the parent. Hurry up, y'all. We can't be late. Coach Pittman ain't playing that, right?
Coach Pittman ain't no joke, man. That's my dude. So man.
It was, and I just take all the stuff you guys put in my gumbo pot and try to teach the kids that I coach from my experience as well. Same thing that you did. So that's amazing. Yes. But I want to ask you, like, after you finish college and stuff like that, playing at Hayward, getting your and going through, how did you end up leaving the sports world and going to go hook up with MC Hammer?
Yeah, and that's a great story. I'm glad when people ask me that because I get that. Well, how did you go from dance with MC Hammer to be a football coach? Well, the true story was Hammer was local at the time. Hammer, come to find out, he went to Mac. Now, he was older than me. We didn't know. He had his local label, Buster Records, and he had his Ringham and Stupid Deaf Y'all. He had his local stuff and Cold Go MC Hammer. He had all these local hits that were bumping. We used to go to the Palladium in San Francisco every weekend and dance, me and Art and all my little crew. And then we used to go to the Crosswinds and all these different spots. The Botleys and Orlando Walkers, Big Dub. I mean, everybody dancing was used to go out and dance, man. Wasn't no till 6 in the morning.
Mm.
It wasn't no fighting, wasn't none of that. You go out and you dance at 6 in the morning having fun. And so Hammer was a local artist, and I had a little group that I started at Cal State Hayward because I didn't believe in pledging. You know, Al Simmons was an alpha at the time. I remember me going to one of the meetings, and I'm like, "Hey man, y'all hazing these guys? You know, they pledging and they all up in their face." I'm like, what is now Mr. West Oakland me? I ain't never seen no
I'm
dude
with you.
standing there. Yes, sir,
Yeah,
big
I'm
brother,
with you.
sir. I'm like, what is
I'm
the
with
hell
you.
is going on here? So I didn't like it. So I started a group with because they wanted me to join Alpha, and I was like, no, I ain't doing that. So they didn't have Qs on campus. So it's Kappas, Sigmas, or Alphas. And I don't want to do none of that. So I started my own little group. It was a social club. So we called ourselves Club Nouveau. Instead of Club Nouveau, which was hot at the time, we was Club Nouveau. And we all had like Ho behind our name. So you had Tally Ho, Mega Ho, Jigger Ho, Freaker Ho. I was King Ho, so you had and the reason I got my name, I used to like King of Rock from Run DMC. So that's what they called me. So we had all these names, and my boy Michael Session, aka Heavy Ho, we decided we was gonna wear our little outfits and go down to Hammer's video at Sweet Jimmy's. He shot the original Let's Get It Started at Sweet Jimmy's. So we went with our Club Nouveau hat and shirt and biker tights and the whole nine. Like, we gonna get up in here. We weren't on the guest list. Joe Mack told us to show up. Shout out to Joe Mack and Big Lloyd Johnson was the security. He was at the door. Lloyd let us in, even though we weren't on the list. It was packed. He let us in, and we was like, we got to figure out how we gonna let Hammer see us dancing, man. Because if he see us dancing, he gonna put us in the video. Hammer didn't even know us. So me and Heavy, 300-pound athletic Chico State. That's my boy. I'm like, man, we gotta see it. They played Rodney O and Joe Cooley during the little break of the filming of the video, and we just in the middle of the flow, just gigging. And they was like, Hammer's like, whoa. He came up to us and he asked my partner, he said, what's your name? He said, Heavy Ho. Hammer just busted out laughing. Okay. Well, who you here with? He pointed to me. I'm with my boy, King Ho. And he said, okay, Heavy Ho and King Ho. Okay. Y'all clear it out. So they cleared it out for us, and we dancing, and next day, I want y'all to be part of the video, which we end up, if you go back and watch the original Let's Get It Started, you see me there with some black biker tights, a white shirt and hat, dancing, doing all this different stuff. So we got in the video, and then he did 2 more local shows, one at Mac for the football team, because they ended up winning the championship that year. He promised them, Buddy Bean, then made him come back and say he would promise he would do a show at Mac for them if they won the OAL, which they did that year. So shout out to Ronald Muhammad. So they do the show there. We show up. He let us perform on stage. He got another show at the Richmond Auditorium. He show up. He let us go on stage. So we steady showing up to his shows. Fast forward, my man Alvin Howard, aka Mighty Ho, he go to Northridge. He tell me Hammer down here in LA shooting Turn His Mother Out video. Show up. He put us in that video as a cameo. So we end up meeting Steve and Sydney, which we end up calling X-Ho and Loho, and making them part of our group. They from LA, we from West Oakland. We took that hip hop West Oakland style, mixed it with the LA style, and put the fraternity step in. Remember, we Club Nouveau, we not a frat. We just doing our own thing. We battling against fraternity. So we doing our stuff. Hammer liked us, performed at the Anaheim Theater, summer of '89. Remember, I'm playing D2 ball, so in the summer, you got to go home for the summer. I need a summer job. I'm like, well, we're going to go on tour with MC Hammer. And he was like, y'all put the videos together. He had a couple of videos with 357 and Ace Juice, Go-Go video. Y'all put the choreography together for this, and we'd be good to go. He don't know that I live in Oakland, or in Hayward, in the dorms, and Steve and Sydney and Alvin, they in Southern California. So they fly up for the week, stay with me in my dorms. We practicing in Cal State Hayward, Pioneer Heights, the original dorm. We practicing in my dorm room, trying to get ready for the Grand Tour with MC Hammer. He picked us up in June. We thinking we just going for the summer. We did another video. They put me in the mix video at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. We performing on Arsenio Hall in July. It was on from there, man.
It's history.
That whole summer, And now I'm supposed to go back. Remember the tour over in August? It's time for me to go back and play my senior year. I was a junior. I was starting safety in my junior year. I went from a walk-on to start. I started off as a corner my first 2 years, moved to safety my junior year, ended up starting, thinking I'm going to come back and play my senior year. And I had to make that decision. Do I go back to school and play my senior year? Or do I go pro? Not pro in the NFL, but professional dance.
Go get some money. Go get some money, right?
I went on tour
with Hammer.
and I went on tour with Hammer, man, and we ended up being his lead dancers because once 357 broke off, started doing their own album, started performing for that. He let us put the choreography together. The four of us now, he changed our name from Club New Ho to Ho Frat Ho. Hammer came up with that name. We didn't really like the name because we ain't no frat, but my boy Sidney was a captain, so he was like, all right, we'll let it ride, whatever. So we ended up being his dancers for that summer, and then we helped put together the choreography to Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him tour. So we flew to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and trained like boot camp at Prince Paisley Park Studios, man. And it was a real deal training in boot camp. We met Prince and all. I mean, it was deep, man.
Prince was cool.
He was cool. He was quiet, kind of ducking and moving. We didn't get a chance to talk to Hammer.
No, but when you say he was cool, are you talking like Charlie Murphy? He's shooting jumpers.
No, not that. That's funny. Like, that's funny. He was cool. He knew we were there. You know, he knew. Obviously, he knew Hammer, so we didn't really have that. As we the dancers, so we see him from a distance. You know, he wasn't never like unapproachable or anything. But we was about business, and that was different, man. You gotta remember, you talking about a dude from West Oakland that got a son mouth to feed with a mother that's struggling with a pretty serious. My mom went through a pretty serious drug addiction, so I had to take care of her, and then my little brother out in the streets. My mind is I can't go back because I got to be able to take care of my family. So I was so laser focused and just was so thankful that Hammer put us on and he gave us the opportunity to get out of Oakland and change my life. So I always felt like I'm gonna give you 100%. I ain't out here to be chasing females and doing all this old wild and out shit. I was out there for business. I used to film the shows, and instead of going to the clubs and partying after the show, I be in there watching the shows like I'm a coach. So that's when my mentality of coaching started way back on tour with Hammer. I used to be okay, we need to be moving over here. This person needs to move over there. So he ended up making me like the lead choreographer, the quote unquote posse master for the group. And it was my job to make sure everybody was properly trained and we was all in order on stage. And because there was a lot of chaos, a lot of people on that stage, but it was like I took it as a job, man. I was serious. And so when he gave me that responsibility, man, we went on a 9-month tour, man. Who goes on 9 months straight? That hasn't been done since. A 9-month United States tour straight, maybe 2 weeks off at the most, man. But that's when all of us, me being a former football player, Alvin being a former basketball player, Steve and Sidney, former football track athlete, that's when the training and the athletic part of us paid off because your body got beat down. And we met some dudes. We met Deion Sanders, Magic Johnson, Scottie Pippen, Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders. I mean, you meeting all these dudes on tour like, damn, okay. This what it looked like. And to be honest, that's when it hit me like, because everybody want to go in the NFL. Let's be real. Everybody was talking about they want to go to the league. If you get on tour, you see Derek Thomas and Tim Worley, Eric Metcalf, even though he 5'8", his neck is swollen. Emmitt Smith, them, you're like, okay, I made the right decision.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Hey,
which always kills me when people say I could have made it. And I'm like,
man,
how far did you play? Because
man,
I went to San Jose State and I figured out real quickly. Yeah,
them dudes was different. I remember Mike.
Game.
Think about it. San Jose State had Mike Perez back when I was growing up. One of the best quarterbacks out. He went to the Giants. So Gerald Wilhite and all them dudes. So
they all on the ring of honor.
You're different, man. You got to be different. And I seen it up close and personal. And it was just like a blessing to be out with the guys that you watch on TV. I'm out there with Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson. You know, you out on tour meeting these John Sally and all these dudes. You meeting these dudes and like they all so cool, man. They was all good to us. And they was just amazed with our conditioning that because they would all come on stage and dance one dance and be dead. Out of breath. Magic Johnson in his heyday, dead. They were like, man, we don't know how y'all do that. We on that stage for an hour and a half. So it was some discipline, and it made me moving forward. When I got back from being on tour with him and end up our group Ho Frat Ho, we ended up putting an album out and we shot a video at Southern University, Ho Frat Swing. You can see that too. We did that. I was like, it's been 3.5 years. I went on this for a summer job. I can't do this forever. At some point, this thing's going to end. Mm-hmm. I'm a man. I'm a dad. I didn't get into this to be known for the dude that used to dance for Hammer. I didn't want to be that guy. I wanted to always be Alonzo Carter. So that's what made me go back to West Oakland in '92 when they had that undefeated basketball team with Darnell Stamps and Anthony Bird and Richard Hardiman and all them, Kelton Reynolds. They was balling and hooping. And in '92, they went undefeated, lost that one game to De La Salle at the Oakland Coliseum. I was there. I remember watching Coach Harrington, how he had them dudes locked in on that basketball thing. Mac was big, and I seen how it gravitated the community, man. It was standing room only. You wanted to be at the Mac basketball game. I started thinking, what if I could do this with track? What if I could do this with football? I wasn't even coaching then. I was just coming back, visualizing that. Then I found out we didn't have a track team. We only had one person the year before, Abu Wilson. He went state, but there was no team. So I went and got Mikael Swift and Richard Hardiman off the basketball team. Melvin Lloyd and Tim Dorsey came from Tech, even though Melvin lived in West Oakland. Another one of them, okay, let me come on home, dude. So we ended up having a track team, and I remember I had a 1987. Y'all get some exclusive stuff. 1987 burgundy drop-top Corvette with peanut butter interior. I ended up selling my car. I didn't want to repair it because it was paid for. Hammer gave me that as a gift. Thank you, Hammer, for that. And I had an accident in the car. And instead of me putting all that money into repairing it, I sold my car and took the money, bought a lesser car, and bought the track team uniforms with the money from my car.
Wow.
We didn't have track uniforms. So when Swift and them had on them orange and black Mizunos and the orange Mac sweatsuits and the orange and black Mac track uniform, that was my money out my pocket because there was no track team. So I took my money and invested it back in my community and sold my baby, sold my car that was given to me to make sure that I was able to take care of them dudes and start this tradition of what you see on this track right here. I was a track coach before I was a football coach.
Right.
And that's when I met all these different coaches and was like, hey, man, aren't you the dude that used to dance with MC Hammer? And I got tired of hearing that. I'm like, no. My name was Alonzo Carter. Because back then, Vallejo and St. Mary's was rolling. And then when I went to the state meet and seen Calvin and Alvin Harrison, Olympic champions live, I seen them run. I seen Marion Jones run. And I'm like, this is a whole nother animal down here at the state. Southern California with Obie Moore and John Muir and Sutai McCullough and all that. I'm like, oh, we ain't ready for this. We are not ready for this.
What year is this?
But hold on, no.
This
but
is
he went through a few
92,
years.
93.
You just went through a few years though, right?
Yeah.
But the transform from no track, right? No track,
None.
To I'm gonna go to like rather as I was coming into high school, the Obie Moore in them years, and you able to land guys like Felton Charles and Joe.
Oh yeah, 96. I didn't take it too long now. It didn't take long. I figured it out. But you know who before what made him want to come, because he ended up moving with his pops, which lived in Oakland, which is really what happened. But I had Tim Brown. Tim Brown. Little skinny dude, never ran track, ran for Oakland Powell. Shout out to Officer Dixon and Oakland Powell and Coach Newman had them. Tim came and didn't play football. He ran cross country. And when football season was over, I mixed him with all them football players. Now, he as a freshman, he ended up running 49 too. And I was like, ooh, I got something. This is a true freshman. Then we went to the Junior Olympics. That's when I started working with Coach Boyd, Doug Boyd, doing the AC Track Club. he wanted me, Tim, to run intermediates with him. And that's when I first seen Obi and all these guys running age group. I didn't know nothing about no Junior Olympics. So now my mind is not just Oakland. I'm thinking nationals. I'm thinking state. I'm thinking big. So as Tim is getting better, he went from 49.2 to 48.1. His junior year, there comes this guy named Felton Charles, which already was running 10-4 and 20.8 already with the Senators Track Club in San Francisco. He moves to Oakland with his dad. We go to Arcadia. He runs 46.68, number one in the nation. And Tim in the other heat runs 47.2. So I got two of the fastest dudes in the country at McClamis High School running on the track team. Now, track kind of gave us the light and gave us the identity, but we all know until you win it in football, it's just still not the same. So we won all these championships. I always look on the same. If you look right here in track, 94, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, all championships. We're talking about a non-track team. To 2 years later, I won my first one in 94, and we ended up running the OAL and track, and not just the OAL, but being some of the best teams in the state of California. But I knew in order to get this right, I had to fix this up top, which would get some of these silver balls under my belt, because wasn't getting the real props until you win it in football.
Yes,
and me and Ken can attest to that. We were one of us never won it in the OAL.
I never made the playoffs.
It kind of haunts us.
It don't give you no love. Tell Kenny he can have nightmares all he want to, because he had a chance to win one.
No, we gonna talk about that.
So Ken, we gonna talk about it now, Ken, right?
Okay.
So one of the things when people hear Alonzo Carter name, and first I want to talk about the OAL football as a coach. Now you see it from the player point of view. What was it like as a coach when you started coaching in it?
Man, it was so surreal to me, because like I told you, I didn't have no agenda. I think what's wrong with sports, and that's why I love that you coaching. I think you got these dudes that get a whistle and they make it about, some of them make it daddy ball. There ain't nothing wrong with coaching your son, don't get me wrong. But you can treat them all the same. Don't make your son over somebody if he ain't better.
Right.
Tell your son, my son, all my kids started off on the offensive line. There was 6 players on the O-line. Oh, well, they'll figure it out. You better figure it out on your own. So you now say it's my duty and my responsibility to take a kid like an Ishman Anderson that never played football, no Pop Warner background, no nothing. Make him a fullback. And then 3 years later, he gets a scholarship to UC Davis. A fullback gets a scholarship to UC Davis. He plays 3 years at UC Davis. He graduates. He said he didn't want to play a senior year because he didn't want to go through concussion stuff. He graduates, gets his degree from UC Davis. He goes to UCLA and gets his master's. He becomes my counselor at now Cal State East Bay, helped me get my degree, encourages me to go back to school. And then he goes to San Francisco State and get his doctorate. So that same kid from West Oakland is now Dr. Ishman Anderson. That's why you coach football. A fullback, Derek Hill, the last Army All-American to come out of the OAL. We can talk all day. Everybody love talking about who was this, who was that. We got some dudes that made first round. I get it. Trust me. But all you got to do is Google who was the last Oakland Athletic League player to be the number one in the cream of the crop and be an Army All-American and A&G Defensive Player of the Year. Only one name, Derek Hill. The last person to do it. No one on Oakland has made the Army All-American Bowl since. And if all you got to do is pull them up, they show him, they live. He committed on national TV to Cal.
Yeah.
He was the first one to do the touch the hat and then take the other hat. I'm like, how you do Arizona like that? He picked up the Arizona hat and put it down, throwing the Cal hat. I'm like, I'll be doing people. You see me holding the Mac jersey. That was back in 06, 05. So to see that kid, he played baseball. You know, big dudes, they don't make weight. They don't get to play football.
Right.
So I watched that kid play JV football as a freshman, make varsity as a sophomore, and leave out of there as an All-American. Not all league, not all East Bay, not all state, all American, top 25 players in the country. In 2005, I had him, Darius Ward, and Josh Tatum. We had 3 players in the top 50 in the country. No one else has ever done that. And I don't care if you do your research. There's some good teams at Skyline, great teams at Tech. Who had 3 top 50 players in the United States? One went to Georgia, one went to Cal, the other went to USC. If they want to add to the chat and get the throwing names, it's fine. Just give me that. Not y'all. I'm saying because you're gonna have some cats.
Oh no, it's gonna happen.
Oh, it happened already.
Derek Hill, the Darius Ward, Josh Taylor, 3 top 50 in the nation on Rivals, and I don't make the rankings.
Right.
I have no love on the. You know, all them rankings start in SoCal. They get all the love. I don't make the rankings. Them had USC, LSU, Tennessee when they was balling, Florida State, Georgia Tech.
When Ward went to Georgia, I knew the game had changed. I'm like,
mind you,
we ain't been going
Twitter,
SEC.
No Twitter, no Facebook, no Instagram, no none of that. Just grinding. Me and Coach D, Dale Nevels was the king, and Eugene Denard making them tapes. Double deck VCR, just dubbing tapes. Because I watched the Kenny Edwards and the Lorenzo Parham, guys that on y'all level, or even better, not get put out there like they really was supposed to. So even me, I had to step my game up. I'm telling you, I'm winning, but I didn't win all this track stuff. That was great. But in football, not until 2001 with Hilario Vital, my first championship. He comes from Fremont, comes over to Mac. Open enrollment, totally legal, paperwork signed. Ain't got nothing to do with me. So they can cry all they want to. Yes, come on over, Red and Gennaro, because Mario and Gino, which is one of the best players I ever coached against, we'll talk about that later. Brothers with the Fremont, not where they felt they should be. Ain't gonna happen, my little bro. Going to the district, fill out your paperwork. Come on over and play with David Gray and the rest of these goons that I have and be the 2001 11-1 Silver Bowl champions. I won my first Silver Bowl as a head coach in 2001.
You took Wildcats, Darius Gooden, too.
Hey, came on and cut it real good. Cut his own deal. Didn't he move?
I don't know. I don't know. I popped up, went back to the high to watch the fights. I'm like, where Pud at?
Wasn't he supposed to be over there anyway? That's another story. You doing a lot of snitching.
Man.
Hold on, Coach Ken. So I'm gonna go back. You know, you were there. You got back 94 to the time that you were there. One of the questions, like, who were the 2 best players you coached at McClymonds while you were there?
The best. Now I got that. Kenny kind of gave me a tip on how this question was gonna come. So as far as who I coached, remember I coached football and track. So the best 2 players, I'm gonna go one football, and I'm gonna say best 2 football players I ever coached personally, Derek Hill and Hilario Vital, hands down. And track, it ain't even close. Felton Charles, he was different. You're talking #1 in the nation, state finalist, wasn't even close, and then Tim Brown right behind him. And I didn't even count Charles Ryan that went to UCLA on the full hurdle scholarship.
Absolutely.
So it was some dudes, man. I was blessed to be able to coach a lot of guys. And one of the best ones out of all of them wasn't even a player, was my ball boy, Marcus Peters.
Yeah.
Marcus dancing at halftime on the Super Bowl. He lining up fist mad when we lost. Man, what you crying for, nephew? We lost, Uncle Zoe. Marcus loved football. Me and his dad, Michael Pierce, my best friend. You know, me and his mom, we all graduated from Mac together. And just I coached Tank, Michael Jr. I've had some good dudes, man. We had a good tradition. And I think the biggest thing, going back, like I told you, I made it where you wanted to be at Mac again. I made it back like when I came up. You wanted to go to Mac. You didn't want to leave out the district, or I want to leave where I'm at. I want some of that too, because not only just the winning, he gonna help me get my dream. I want to go to college.
Absolutely.
Everybody want to go to college, Kenny.
Yeah,
Everybody want to go to college. No, let's be real. Here I am. I'm telling you now. You hearing why I did it. Nobody helped me, so it was my responsibility to make sure people didn't feel like I gotta go up on that hill. And I gotta give them props. They was winning. Bishop O'Dowd and Skyline were the two teams that I envy in Oakland because they had Coach Perrinine and Coach Bean did their thing. And I was like, not Kirk Morrison show living West Oakland.
Man.
We joke about it. I'm sure Kirk gonna see this. We just joked about. He talking about he's an unofficial.
He gonna
Mac
come
guy.
on this season.
Hey,
Okay, Kirk. So we talk about these things. Why you didn't go to Mac? Well, you know.
My mama.
So I just wanted to make sure that kids didn't feel like they had to leave out of West Oakland to win games and get a scholarship. You can do that right here. And from 01 on, which we didn't have state championship and all that then. Because if we had a state championship in 2001, man, we'd have walked, we'd be holding that plaque too.
yeah.
Shout out to my brother, Coach Peters. He's doing his thing. Now they got the state. Look what Mac doing when they get in the state. He went 3 in a row. That's beautiful. We didn't have that, but without him and John Edwards, this is one of the names I never get brought up. John Edwards was coaching JV football before me. John Edwards and Ralph Bellamy was the JV coach, and Coach Michael Peters, they were coaching, and they the ones talked me into coaching. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, he can do it. I know I can do it. And they gave me the confidence to be a football coach. So that's why me and Coach Peters was connected at the hip. And we won our first championship together in 2001. And man, that's my brother. We just talked this morning. So I'm just proud to see what he's doing with my school. And all I wanted to do was bring that Mac pride back. That Mac family thing, that didn't start until that wasn't when we grew up. That was when that was a Sports Focus did a documentary on us. And it was called Mac Family. And that's if you watch that Sports Focus documentary, they say they used to always hear us go Mac Family on me, Mac Family on 3, 1, 2, 3, Mac Family. That was the name of the documentary. So that's when we started wearing that mantra. Now we always say we Mac and we bleed orange and black. That's
family, right? Yeah,
that's who we are. But that Mac Family mantra, they named that after that Sports Focus thing, and people start pushing that forward, and they wear that because we are Mac family.
Yeah. Can I be a cousin?
We are cousins.
Because I always say I bleed blue and white. Like I will fight you over Oakland High. But I got some more
family. Your mom and dad went to Mac. You can come hang out.
Man, I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Because of his cousins, y'all family. I just wish y'all had said, I'm coming.
So we gonna talk about that in a second, Ken. Yeah. But my disclaimer, Ken, is I'm glad Zoe named Felton Charles because not the Felton Charles on the track. I did get a chance to hit Felton Charles on the football field, though, right?
Oh yeah.
So now I feel stepped. Hey,
he was so athletic. He had never played football. That's me talking to me. Hey man, you gotta give me something. And he did it just like to me. And I think Lawrence was a better overall football player than Felton because he played longer. Because Lawrence was really good. But I kind of put them in the same box. But Jody, which we call him, I just like, hey man, as fast as you got to at least give me a couple of games because he didn't play he was in school in the fall. But he was like, no, I'm waiting for track season. And as the season winding down, Coach Pooh was like, hey, man, let me come on and play a little receiver or play a little DB. And he was so tough. He was like, man, come on, man. You ain't going to get hurt. Just come on and play. And he played the last part of the season. It probably was against Tech.
Tech, right? Ken,
it was at the end of the year when he played.
I see a kid, Ken, he's flying up the sideline. Ramin is that quarterback I'm at safety. He's trying to look me off and just turn and throw a bomb. I think Ramin probably threw it 50, 60 yards in the air, dude. And I get there as soon as it touches hand, like perfect timing. And was like, hey, Parks was like, hey, that was Jody you just hit. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck Jody is, but
Lawrence won because of track. Yeah. But see, y'all to be honest, and I give full props, man. That team, we wasn't gonna beat y'all.
98.
Y'all just had a better football.
98 was good, Ken.
Yeah,
But
I'm like
Zo,
98 was probably one of the best defenses.
Yeah,
98
y'all
Tech,
just better.
98 Tech.
We hit
Yeah.
when we played y'all, and I hit Mikey with everything we had. Then we played y'all the second time in the mud at Fruitvale. I'm like, okay, we got action. I wore my suit. That's the first time I wore a suit to a game. I was
was it a
suited
suit
and
or
booted.
was it camouflage? I thought it was
No, the
camouflage.
camouflage was later on, man.
Okay.
That was Tech.
That's when Zoe hit his stride.
That's when Marshawn them. That was to
Okay.
try to trick them with little Phil them. Y'all game, I had on a suit. And I got there late on purpose, trying to make like a grand entrance in green.
The
Was
entertainer.
clowning me, everybody talking smart to me. I'm like, hey, we got this. And Delton was like, I don't care what you wear. Y'all finna get this today. And it was muddy, and I thought we had a shot. Ditto, same thing again. Defense was off the hook for y'all, and damn Mikey Denard and you and Lawrence out there. I'm like, we didn't have it. Y'all was a better team, and that's why I say to me, the person, one of the names that get lost in all these who was this and who was that is Michael Denard. I don't think he gets enough credit for what he did and what type of player he was. And Cobb, their linebacker, them dudes was different. And y'all played for each other. Y'all had fun with each other. Had you out there and long. I mean, it was a matchup problem for us. But it also, I'll never forget y'all beat us the second time. All my players, we was muddy. They looking and crying. I said, you see that? That ain't gonna happen no more. Y'all gotta get in this weight room. Y'all gotta sell out to the weight room. Because we was always good and athletic at Mac, but the players really didn't buy into I don't think people do this to this day, but I came up with if you can't hit 225 on the bench, you can't play varsity. And that was after losing to y'all and then losing to Fremont the way we did with Mario and them when Coach Walker ran the wishbone on us. And Red was the quarterback. I'm like, damn. So we had problems stopping the run. I was like, you can't hit 225 pounds. I don't care if you're the kicker. You will not play varsity football for me. In 2001, Derek Hill hit 400. Elijah Thomas 400. Pierre, all them dudes 365, 385. Boy, they was on it. Red came over. I said, man, you ain't in the 3-plate club. You don't fit in. I hit 275. That ain't 3-plate. So it was like all them dudes was on this weight thing. Brandon Smith, all them dudes. I just tricked them into being physical and understanding. That's how you win the game, playing good defense. Loyal Vital, another one of them dudes that was different. 1,800-yard rusher and first team All-State and All-Conference at linebacker. Yeah, Offensive Player of the Year and you first team All-State at linebacker. Different type of player. Not saying he wasn't good before he came, but let's be real. I remember his brother teasing me, Mario. He said, Zoe, don't be like the Washington Redskins, because that's when they had Bruce Smith, Deion Sanders. They signed all these Pro Bowl dudes, and they went 8-8. And he teased, and that stuck in my head. You can get all these dudes together, but can you get them to share? Can you get them to play? Can you get James Harden, Kyrie, and Durant to play together?
Right.
Can you do like the Warriors did? And this was my mindset back then with David. I had 7 D1 on that team. So who gonna sacrifice? Who gonna give up something? Red ran for 1,800 yards and didn't even start at running back the first 2 games. Danny Carr started at running back.
Danny Carr,
Danny Carr was my starting running back from the Dynamite. We should call him Danny Dynamite. Danny Dynamite was starting running back the first 2 games. And then I said, you know what, Danny? And he went, Red was better. Danny says, Zoe, move me to corner. I had Danny and Brandon Smith as my 2 corners. Danny he still played running back, but Red didn't start to the 3rd game, and he still ran for 1,800. So imagine if he'd have played the whole season at running back.
So Zoe, we talk about that 01 team. Was that the best team you coached? Was that your best team you had at Mac during your time?
You're gonna get me in trouble with my own people.
It's the rec center, baby.
Here we go. That I coach. And I always argue with my 01 and 05 team with Derek Nim and team with Hilario. It was close, but I think the 01 team, because just the individuals, man, on that team,
matchup problems.
that was the D line, man. I had linebacker. I remember being so you got those linebackers on D line. I had Kenyatta Steele, Chunga's older brother, Elijah Thomas, Dante Floyd would end up going to Laney, playing linebacker, getting a scholarship from Mexico State. That was my D line. That was my interior. We were in a bare front. That was my interior defensive line. You can't block them dudes.
Right.
You can't block them dudes. And then the linebackers, Red, and had Red, and Pierre was the two inside backers. They doing that with them. Tyrone Henderson, Janato, Vito, Brandon Smith, Danny Carr, all them in the secondary. That was just different. And then on offense, Antoine Smith, aka Tiger, Janato, David Gray, them the receivers, DeMonte Johnson, quarterback, signed with San Jose State. Defensive end on that bare front, some guy named Darius Gooden, so we
Oakland High kid.
Hey, yeah, he came on graduated from Mac, but San Jose State too. But that team was different, and they had fun doing it. They was unselfish, and they was physical, and they that's back when the Baltimore Ravens, when Ray Lewis was off the hook, they used to do their little chant, and they used to go off. But a lot of that, I'm give y'all some credit. That Tech team and them Fremont team that put hands on us what made me think, okay, and then not to mention you got the big bullies on the hill. You got Skyline. They bullying everybody. I'm like, enough of this.
Yeah, they was the De La
South. So now
we beat them twice. We beat Skyline twice that year.
Yeah, so now I was at one of them. I was so happy.
All right. But we got Skyline team, and I have my preference and my thoughts on on the answer to this question. What was the best team you had to coach against while you was there?
The best team I had to coach against, I think like I said, I love that Tech team the year y'all was there, and then the Giannis and them senior year. We beat them in 01, and they had to take that, but they was all juniors. Frank Summers, Giannis, Brandon Sanders, all of them was juniors on that team. And they came back that next year, played us at the Coliseum. And they got with us. They had Best, they had all them dudes. And they was upset. Beam felt some kind of way. And he let them loose. They beat us. So I would think that team and then that Oakland Tech team.
What about the Marshawn Tech team?
With all due respect, you get mad all you want to. They won, but remember, Marshawn them only beat me one time, my whole tenure at Mac. So even that year, they won. Josh played a hell of a game in the mud, and Verdell Larkins was on fire that night. Ran back a kick, caught a bomb, did everything. And Marshawn knows I get to tease him. I'm the only coach can say in 3 years, he's never ran for 100 yards on me, sir. Marshawn Lynch never beat me. The team beat us. No.
Hey, Ken, you see the smile on my face right now, right, Ken?
They never ran for 100.
Now, I've heard this before from another source. He never ran for 100 yards. Marshawn never got off.
Marshawn was the man now, but I said, you can't beat me. That's why I said shout out to Josh Johnson and Verdell, because I put 12 in the box, in the mud. They say I cut the sprinklers on. It was muddy at Mac. So it was a little rainy, The sprinklers came on. I didn't have to do it, but they did come on. Verdell and Josh earned their money that night. Josh Johnson put on hey, Coach Harbaugh, you might want to go over to Tech and check this boy out. You looking for a quarterback? He's over at Oakland Tech. His name is Josh Johnson. Put on a show that night. That's the night I had on the Army fatigue, and Big Phil teased me. He teased me because I came walking out with the Army fatigue, like, what the hell you doing? I'm like, hey, man, don't worry about it. I'm trying to get my team pumped up. And he was like, if that's what you got to do to get y'all pumped up, you in trouble. And they beat us. But that was a good team. But I think y'all Tech team was better than that Tech team. That just
really.
So Ken, hold on.
98 was better than.
Let me say something, Ken. Ken, let me say something. Oakland Tech alumni, you guys that jumped in the comments, you guys that went in on me when I said our team would have beat that Marshawn team. When I did my start bench cut and said Michael Denard, I will start him over Marshawn. You guys went in on me. He go a coach that coached against both teams and both players, and he said our team was better. And he didn't never say Mikey didn't run for 100 yards on him. Mikey was unstoppable, but he was able to stop Marshawn.
Hold on, but I don't want to compare Mikey and Marshawn. That ain't fair to either.
It's an inside
Because-
joke. It's an inside joke, Coach.
Marshawn as a player was you knew from day one he was different. It was just that dude was different. But like I say, those apples on you got the football, basketball, which he did that for fun. Track, dude. I watched Marshawn with no training come out and run a 10-800 meters in the OL finals against Kenny O'Neal, which is that's another question. One of the fastest dudes I've seen.
Right.
Which I tried to get him to Mac. I was just a week too late on the phone. He ended up on Skyline. He was coming from Georgia. I talked to his people just a week too late. Dang, I missed it. But Kyler ended up coming, his brother. Different conversation too. But that's them two. If you ranking individuals, because I know this is a question that I had to coach against, then yes, Marshawn is number one. Mikey Denard is right there behind him. Gino Vitale. Gino. I love Red, and Red will tell you. Gino Vitale. That's the monster. That was the woo. Hey man, can I get your little brother? So it was like them dudes, even Mario, them dudes were different. I mean, Denny told me about them when they were coming out of middle school. So you've seen the potential and then let me get this clear on air. The reason why Gennaro and Ilario, which went through open enrollment properly to come to McClain, one of the main motivations wasn't just the football, but Gino and Mario and the family wanted to see that these boys got recruited and got scholarship opportunities coming out of high school, because let's be real, they were the best players and they didn't get recruited out of high school. Not because they wasn't good enough. Y'all know that. Had nothing to do with the ability, but they was like, man, I want both my little brothers happy, not knocking Laney College, married, none of that. But I don't want that to have to be their only option.
Right.
And there ain't nothing wrong. And you do the same for your kids. So when they came to play, I'm like, oh, Christmas. Yes. I'm gonna tell you, no, you can't come. Come on. But this is how we gonna do it. This is how we gonna do it.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the standard. This is how we're gonna do it in the weight room, the classroom. And they bought in, man. We had a different culture over at Mac, and they bought in. They bought in, and I love coaching them guys. But man, as far as coaching against, yes, teams, that's one thing. But individuals, number one, Marshawn Lynch. Ain't even no question.
So we had a conversation we had Gino on the air, and we asked Gino our question: who do he feel was overrated during that time that he played?
Okay.
And his response,
I got some names.
His response was every Skyline running back. He felt they were overrated because the system that they had in place with being able to have blockers get to the next level made the running back an easy at Skyline. What's your thoughts on that?
I think I'm not going to disrespect those guys, because that's almost your Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith argument, where Barry didn't have the blocking that the Cowboys had, but that don't mean Emmitt went who he was. So Gino is Barry Sanders. He was different. He was, I got it. I'm the one-man show. I'm going to make it happen. No quarterback. And like I said, they ran the wishbone. Come on, man. Get that man out the wishbone. Why you think Ilario ran for 1,800? We weren't in no wishbone. But Skyline has some good players, man. I can't knock what they were able to counter trade. That was they love running that counter trade and that power. There was a physical football team up front. They always had a good quarterback, and they had good receivers that can stretch the field. So the backs, like I said, 85, Dwayne Gardner went to USC. He was a running back. That was way back in 85, man. So some of those guys were, I don't want to say overrated, but I felt like Michael Denard was better than Roger Ratliff. I felt like that.
Ken didn't feel that way. See, Ken didn't feel that way, right?
And Roger was a monster. But remember, here's why I say this, Kenny. Roger only did it 1 year. Roger was a D lineman that they played, moved around that. I watched Michael Denard do it for 2 years and they wasn't even winning like that. And he played both ways. So I'm just looking at the whole totality of it. If you take this person and put them over here and take that person, put them over there. Now, let me say this to you, and this might cause a furry, and I bet y'all never thought about this one. And this is from a coach's lens. That's why I like looking at that. Can you take Alonzo Carter and let him coach a Skyline and he be successful? Or can John Beam come down to West Oakland and be successful? Do you think John Beam can come down to West Oakland and coach there and do what I did?
No,
Absolutely.
no. Mac is a Mac. You need a certain
because you got to
individual.
be able to identify with your players on where you come from to get that out of
Look at it once again, different lens. When you're looking at it from my lens, I'm like, well, damn, if I had the XYZ coming up to me and Dynamites coming up to me and Oakland Saints coming up to me, what would we be? So that's why when the East Bay Warriors became the East Bay Warriors, the Climbers Warriors, don't get it twisted. That's where their name came from. East Bay Warriors.
I never put that together.
I never
put that together.
I was on the original board with Fred Pugh when we made up the East Bay Warriors. Their first home field was Mac. Their first home field was McClymonds football. See,
did you put that together, Lo?
Yeah,
game changer.
I never put that together.
And my son played for the East Bay Warriors.
I never even
East
put
Bay
the
Warriors, McClymonds Warriors.
Wow.
Anyway, I was behind the scenes. Don't worry about that. So I had to figure out how do I get people to feel comfortable coming to West Oakland? You know what? Let's let the East Bay Warriors home field be McClymonds High School. So those parents sit in the bleachers and watch their kids play all day and go, you know what? This is not that bad. So when Rico Thomas and Blackwell and all them get to high school, hey man, you're already here. Terrence McCoy, y'all are already here. Just stay right on what y'all doing. And now you have the evolution. Now you start stacking. Now you start stacking the championship. And we stop getting on the Barton bus and going up to the hill or going over to North Oakland or going around the lake. We stay home, going to Berkeley. No, you stay home because I feel comfortable that my son's going to get his education and get an opportunity to be recruited by playing for a man, myself, that cares about them and going to push them out to get a chance to go to college, because that's what it was all about for me.
Yeah.
So give Beam his credit for that. No one else did it like him. And I told myself, if that's the blueprint, if that's what it is, I got to match the blueprint and take it to a whole nother level. That was always my challenge. I coach, think about the people at the game. Football season is from August to December. From December to February is normally basketball. For Alonzo Carter, it's recruiting. It's putting people name in the newspaper who's recruiting them. Signing day is in February. Oh, now everything's quiet. No. Track season from March to June is track season. Oh, so take a break. AC Track Club, Junior Olympics, Tim Brown, Rashad Allen, Lawrence Parks. Hey, let's run summer track for AC Track Club. And when you write, make sure you mention he goes to McClymonds High School. So I just took a 365-day calendar and made you comfortable reading about McClymonds High School. All planned.
Genius.
It's called
all
chess.
Planned.
Yeah. That is chess, right?
Chess.
All planned.
Chess at its finest.
Yes,
Chess
sir.
at its
All
finest.
planned.
Yeah.
So when these players are juniors and seniors, and I'm Charles Ryan, and I'm the #1 hurdler in the state of California, and I go, AC Track Club, my family moved to Oakland, where am I going to go? Easy, McClymonds High School. Because that's what they do, it's year round.
But so sometimes it comes with having a gift of the gab, right? Because I'm gonna name some dudes that ran.
I'm not gonna sit up here and incriminate myself.
No, listen. Not high school. They didn't come to McClymonds.
The process of my mentality of I needed to change the narrative, because I was told by a coach one day, he came to the Oakland, went up to Skyline to visit Coach Bean and some coaches. And when I asked him, while you're in the area, were you going to come down to McClymonds? His response was, where that's at. I'm like, wow, you don't even know about us? You in Oakland, and you're not going to even come down to see us? So I said, I'm going to change it. And then the opposite of what I did, I said, when I get coaches to come to my school, I'm sending them to Fremont. I'm sending them to Tech. I'm sending them to Oakland High. I'm sending them to Castlemont. I want them to see Chris Little. You know, I want them to see Davis and Chris Little over at Castlemont. I want them to know about that. Because I want them to know Josh Johnson just threw for 300 in the mud on me. And I ain't got no quarterback, Harbaugh. I ain't got nobody. Quarterback that didn't play his junior year because he broke his wrist. He don't have no junior film, but he's a monster as a senior. His name is Josh Johnson over at Oakland Tech. I watched Fred Shavies and Josh Shavies. I watched that, man, because me and him shared stuff together. So it was nothing for me to send coaches to the other schools when they came into Oakland. And that's how I met my friend, Mr. Brent Brennan. And he was the wide receiver coach at Cal Poly. Then he goes to San Jose State. He recruiting Oakland. We befriend each other. Here it is, 15 years fast forward. Now we working together. It's all about networking. Kelly
Relationships.
It's just, and you helping people. People see you help people. So now they like, if I get a chance to help him, I'm gonna do that. And that's what this is about, man. So when y'all get on these healthy debates, they're healthy, they're good, but take off your glasses and look at it from another person's lens.
Yeah.
What I'm telling y'all now, nobody thought about that. I had a 365 round the clock. You're going to think about McClymonds High School. You're going to read about some back, the newspaper wasn't no online. It was the newspaper.
Tribune. Oh, yeah.
You're going to read about somebody
Josh
from
Suchan.
year around.
Dean.
Dave Shane, all them dudes. Them my guys. I want to make sure you read about us.
One of the persons
and Alonzo Carter, too.
One of the persons that always want me to give you his props, give you your props, though, he ran for you, AC Track Club, Derek Burks, right? Derek Burks.
Yes.
So I coach against Derek Burks. I try to make up games and keep relationship because I know D Burks. He was also in Long Beach City College with me and Pizzo. And he's coaching right now. And he always talk about these coaches that put him there. He like, man, when he ran for AC Track Club, I'm like, how the hell Zoe get a Sacramento dude to come run? Him and what's the other one? Albert. What's the name? Albert what?
Albert Hollis.
One of the fastest dudes.
Christian Brothers.
Swole dude.
99 Junior Olympics up in Seattle. We broke the net. We ran 39.86.
39.86, right? So one of the things I've been thinking about me being a football guy, track guy, Zoe, what was the sacrifice like from the family with your children? Because with me, I can't do it, because I get it. You taking too much time away. So I just thought about doing a track club for the longest, though. Then it comes into football season. What was that sacrifice like as the family and the children?
It was hard. And me and my son, like I say, me and Lizzo, we were able to talk. Recently, about 3-4 years ago, he just expressed to me, how proud he is of me, but also we reflected on some of the things I was negligent of having a son with the same name as you. So I had to walk through his shoes. Oh, you Coach Carter's son. He's Alonzo Carter's second. So when that fight on the hill at Skyline, which was one of the most hurtful things that ever happened to me, because I got suspended for that, my son had to go to school at the Brewer Middle School and get ridiculed by his peers because, your daddy was the one on the fight that started. No, I ain't starting no damn fight, but the media flipped it and tried to put it on me. Then they took it off me, and then I ended up coaching it 2 years later, winning a championship. So I went from being the bad guy to he's the greatest thing coaching. Man, y'all sure switch up when I learned about the media. But my son was like, Dad, you weren't really there to help me like I see you helping those other players.
Wow.
Not that he was D1. He didn't want tripping on that. But he was like, you didn't help. You didn't take the time to help make my tape. And he never ran for me on AC Track Club. All the extra stuff he seen me doing, he was like, why you didn't do that for me? And that was real, man. That hurt because I'm like, man, son, I love you. I never wanted to make you feel like I was forcing you to do something. I don't want to be that dad. I'm like that with my kids now. I never made them do what they didn't want to do. And I have to tell him, now, hold on, son. All the people you talking about, whether it be a Lolo or a Kenny Evans, they call me. Marshawn Lynch was running the hills with us as a 10th grader. When I trained in Nnamdi Asomugha, Sultan McCullough, Atari Callen, DJ Williams, all them dudes ran for me. Marshawn was a 10th grader running Maybell Hill with them. And he went to TAC. Him and Little Phil. They would come over to Mac and work out with us. So it wasn't like I was making them do that. And then Coach Delton, he's my friend. So if he says, so we coming over to work out, or vice versa, Big D, we coming to meet y'all and go run the canyon. That's just what it was. I never wanted to make my players do nothing they didn't want to do, and especially my own kids. So the people I'm naming that ran summer track, it was like a handful. Rashad Allen, Felton Charles, Tim Brown, Terrell Burr Smith. Let me give him some props. He ran summer track for me. You know, them dudes, Leland Lemons, Peanut, you know, they all ran for me. Lawrence Parks, we ran. Ramin, Mark Johnson, we traveled, we did some things, and it was beautiful, but it was all to get them, one, out of West Oakland, two, to keep their name circulating. So when them college coaches want to know how fast is he, because if the 40 time or the 100 time don't match, you can yell hand time all day, but Lolo, you know this, if it ain't accurate track, we ain't trying to hit it.
Right.
So when dudes get to drop it, I'll run a 4-4. Says who?
People don't know how fast that is. That is really fast. That's really fast.
That's fast, bro. That's why when I watched Reggie Bush run 10-4 and then go to the combine and run a high 4.3, you'd be like, wait a minute, is that it? Man, that's fast. What do you mean?
Fast, right.
What y'all think for to run a 4.1 or something? You know, so you got to understand how that is and what that is about. And a lot of guys, you know this, because you didn't really get deep in the track till you got to junior college. People didn't really run track in the OAL like that, man. So I hung my hat on that thing. I wanted them to see this track thing can open up doors for you, because 90% of my track guys were football guys. And I happened to be the football coach. So that's how I was able to meet a lot of them dudes, meet a Derek Burks and all them guys, Albert Hollis. I met them at the state meet. I'm like, hey, man, you know I got a summer team, Kareem Kelly. You know I got a summer team, Sammy Parker. You know I got a summer team, Sultan McCullough. I put USC team together before they ran for USC.
Right.
Darryl
Rideau, Kareem Kelly, and Sultan McCullough, and Devin Ward from University City in San Diego. That was my relay team that ran 39.8. They all signed with SC. Because I made them get along. They didn't like each other. You think Long Beach Poly and damn John Muir dudes hung out together? No, y'all, I put them all in one room. And that's how I ended up meeting Nnamdi Asomugha, because Atari Callen was his roommate.
Oh, at Cal?
He said, man,
at Cal.
Atari Callen was on my B team. My B team ran 41-2. So they was like, wait a minute, who is this Zoe? How he getting all y'all together? Nnamdi was his roommate. I ended up working with Nnamdi, training him for the NFL, first round draft pick. Well, who watched Nnamdi train at MAC? We didn't go to no XOs. We trained at the Oakland YMCA and McClymonds High School. And he went first round, ironically, to the Raiders. Kyle Reed was one of his workout buddies. You got Kyle Reed, now watching this, saying, well, if he can do it, I can do it. Well, who's younger than Kyle Reed? Marshawn, Phil, all them all watching this right in front of them. We start giving the camps, and you just start opening up eyes. And ironically, Nnamdi does what? Goes first round. He with the Raiders. We gave the first speed camps at Mac and Tech. They were free. We was giving football camps way back then at Mac and Tech, because me and Delton wanted to give back and let the kids from Oakland have something that they can say. Tyrone Wheatley, all of them was there. All the Cal players would come. Harold Pearson, which is doing SPAT now, we used to do, all them dudes would come. All them guys would come back and want to help those Oakland kids. And that's just what it was all about for me.
Ken, they got a ring to it. Alonzo, Lorenzo. I might got to start the track club. They got a ring to it.
LP Track Club.
I can give it back to you now. AC Track Club. Now I ain't ran. I got it copyright. It's mine. So I can. Hey, you want to fire it back up? But it burnt me out. To answer your question, after doing that for so long, it burnt me out because it was taken away from my children. It was taken away from my home life. And I wasn't married then. Now I'm married. And, once I went to Berkeley High, I stopped coaching track. You notice that. Once I left Mac, I haven't coached track since. And I missed it, but I was just like, I can't do this year round. It's just taken. I stopped doing the track club, everything. I remember Daryl Hampton was the track coach. And he asked me, "You want to help?" I was like, "Nope, I'm cool. You got it." I brought a couple of players, try to get the football players to run, but I just couldn't do it, man. And it was hard. My son, Isaiah Burks, he wanted to run. He ran for Berkeley High. He was good, but I just was burnt out, like you said. And I feel bad because all the energy I put towards them, I didn't really put it towards my own because I was so busy helping everybody else. And your children see that, man. Your children see that. So even though you might feel like you want to do it, Lolo, make sure you balance it out and make sure you're a father and you separate that from being a coach, because once they overlap, then you want them daddy coaches. And I never wanted to be that. I just didn't want to be that. But it did have some wear and tear on me. And I have some regrets. If I could do it all over again, I would probably do it a little different. And I probably would give up something. I probably wouldn't be coaching summer track, but it was such a necessity. I was young. I was coming up. And I wanted my name popping. And let me make it clear, I had no aspirations of being a Division I coach. That wasn't why I was doing it.
Hold on.
I stayed up at Cal. I never talked to Coach Jeff about coaching at Cal. I never talked to Fitz Hill about coaching at San Jose State. That was never a conversation. So I just wanted to help my kids be recruited. But when I walked in the door, I wanted them to know who I was. And if I'm bringing some players, they knew I had some squad. Remember, I used to put them Oakland Renegade all-star team together, and we went to San Jose State one year, and we went to Cal the next year. Josh and Marshawn and Kyle and them was all on my first Renegade team with Fell and them, with Bird and them as young dudes at San Jose. And then the following year, we put the Renegade team together and went up there with Marshawn and Kyle was the quarterback. And I had Petty from Fremont. I mean, I had some dudes. It was Marshawn and Petty was my two running back. They said, "Them ain't your players." I said, "For this weekend, it is."
Right.
So
hey,
that's how that
so
went.
that you said something, Cree, that you never wanted to coach D1, and you brought up Berkeley High. What was it like going from McClymonds after you built these names, these titles, to going over to Berkeley High? Like, what was the biggest, I want to say, culture shock there with your persona walking onto that campus? Like your reputation perceives you when you got there, but what was it like with the transition of the players?
It was tough, man, because I remember the first year they kept telling me, "Stop comparing everything to Mac." I would always say, "At Mac we do this, and at Mac we did that." And they was like, "Coach, we want you here. You gotta stop comparing us to Mac." I'm like, "Well, I'm used to coaching tough kids." And I just felt like in the beginning at Berkeley High, they took it for granted. They had you got close to 4,000 students. You got all these resources. You got this wonderful campus where I'm coming from. These kids would pay to have half the resources y'all have. So don't take it for granted. And I'm not trying to compare y'all to them, but I just watch. I know what it means to grind. And if y'all believe in me and buy in, we can turn this program around. And I remember they didn't even have a freshman team. So we had about 80 players total between the JV and varsity. I'm like, I have more players than Mac than this. And I was like, something's wrong with that. And then by my third year, by the time I left, I had over 150 players. I had 3 levels. I had a freshman team, a JV team, and a varsity team. And we went from 6 wins to 10 wins. And when you go from 6 wins to 10 wins at a place like Berkeley High, I made it to North Coast section of playoffs. We beat San Leandro, and then we lost to Monte Vista, which was real good. They had their quarterback in Stanford. But when you start off with 80 guys and you end up with 150, and it's all done in a 2-year window, you kind of reflect that they were buying in. They didn't understand the culture and how to grind. We won the league 3 years in a row. And then I started hearing, well, you should win. You got all those players. I'm like, well, they weren't winning before I got here. So I always felt as much, and I love my experience at Berkeley High, but I always felt underappreciated at Berkeley High. I never got to me the credit that we as a staff should have gotten. They had 80 players on that program when I got there. 80. And I'm like, I had 90 at Mac. So what is this? So them kids and them parents bought in. I had parent meetings. Man, I had a parent meeting and I told them what they needed to pay for. And after the meeting was over, 20 parents were standing in line. I was like, what y'all here for? Oh, you said we ready to write a check. I'm like, oh, I didn't
I thought you was going to have to say wait till Friday or
I
different
got
ball
$20
game,
now.
right?
put something on it. I thought you ready to put something on it.
Fundraiser, right?
They lining up like, okay, coach, we
Wash
have our check.
cars.
We have pasta night, the parents
Oh,
come
yeah.
make pasta. I'm like, oh, okay, good. I ain't used to that. Get them some Todd Robin, tell my cats, let's go. And
Let's
that,
go. Right.
so it was just different. And they really appreciated me over there, man. It changed my perspective on football because I realized how people viewed the OAL. Because I remember when I played my first year, I played Castlemont. I played Castlemont and I scrimmaged Oakland High and I scrimmaged Mac in 707. And it was like, why you keep playing those schools? And I was like, what you mean playing those schools is good? Castlemont won the Silver Ball. The Silver Ball. I mean, people just outside of the OAL don't respect it, bro. And it was disheartening to me. It was just like, wow, y'all don't respect the Oakland Athletic League. That's why when Marcus and them 12-0 team, that MAC team beat Pittsburgh, that game, Vic called me for Coach Peters' number because he said we need a fluff game, a cupcake game to kind of balance our schedule out. MAC beat him. So that cupcake
game, the homecoming game.
it flipped, and it was at Pitt. They beat him with 24 players. You know how shocking that was for them to lose to 24 hungry dudes, which had Marcus Peters and all that, and Big Window on them on there. I was like, yes. But people didn't respect the OAL. And it bothered me because other than people giving Skyline credit, even me at McClymonds, as much as I did, even if when we was ranked, remember with Derek and them, that year De La Salle went like 8-4-1 or something. They had a tie and something like that. And we went 11-1, and they still ranked us behind them. And I was like, wait a minute, man. We played a tough preseason. We played some North Coast section team. We only lost to Dorsey, which they lost to Crenshaw. We beat Crenshaw, which is the LA City champions. They won the whole thing, and we beat them, and y'all can't rank us higher than this. So that's when I really started seeing it once I left the OAL and was in the North Coast section and sitting in the meetings, hear them do the playoff board, how they rank you. I beat Castlemont, and they wouldn't give me credit. And that's the year JB now went to the Silver Ball, and it was like, the Silver Ball? What is that? I was just, wow. So it changed my perspective. So when I went over, which I'm sure you're going to ask about the Contra Costa, I wanted to change that stain. I wanted to try to get as many OAL players as I could and make sure they all got scholarships. Because that's the only thing, to me, you can get a plaque, a trophy, you can put all this stuff on you, put the patch and all this, but if you don't get a scholarship, to me, after giving everything y'all give, the way y'all bodies get beat up, then you let these people use you. You didn't get your full worth out of this, and that's what I wanted people to respect about the OAL. Say what you want to. Outside of us, Oakland High, MAC, Skyline, Tech, Fremont, we won, bro. Now, we might be competitive amongst each other, but once you, even as a grown man, look who you're on this podcast with.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Look who you're on this podcast
family.
So
absolutely.
It's even worse, man. When you go over there outside in them different areas, and they frown on us. Like, what is OAL? I was like, okay, y'all got the game twisted. So it was a culture shock. And to be honest, my first week working there, I cried because I was depressed. I missed Mac. I didn't really want to be there. I kind of told Kenny a little bit about it. My choice to leave Mac wasn't my choice. My choice to leave Mac was they offered me my football coaching position, but my working on campus position, which was in the PE department, they said I wasn't in the budget. And I said, okay, well, but here's the key. And this, a lot of people don't know this. You're getting exclusive. I was part of I was in the union. So when I went to the union, they said, oh, you got a job? Well, okay, cool. Where? Oakland Tech. I'm like, huh? Yeah, we can transfer your job to Oakland Tech, but in the OAL, you can't coach at one school and work at another. So in order for me to go to Oakland Tech, I got to take my best friend Delton Edwards' football job.
Oh, wow.
Can't do that. So I stayed at Mac. In my last year coaching with Willie Griffin, them, I accepted unemployment checks from June all the way to December. I was unemployed coaching football, and it hurt my heart that the administrative team at that time didn't look out for me. All that I've done, all the sacrifices I've done, all I've done to help these kids, that's how y'all gonna do me. So I had a job, but they were shocked that I stayed. I never forget they walking out there at some, you do 7 on 7, we get ready for Laney. They like, what you still doing here? I said, well, I can't. You telling me in June that I don't have a job, so I'm supposed to quit on these kids? In football, you start training in June.
Right.
You already went through spring ball and track. I can't quit on these kids. And you trying to send me to Tech, so I'm supposed to go over there and go, okay, go. Either Delton has to hire me to be on his staff, and if he says no, I can replace him. Come on, man.
That sound like a dirty game right there.
Man.
That sound like a dirty game.
Was it something else that happened? Like,
it was back then, if you remember, McClymonds became best in Excel. They were one of the original small schools. All these charter schools you seeing now, McClymonds was one of the first ones to try the small school within the school thing because our enrollment was so low.
right.
So they was trying to, and they had a middle school called Kismac. That's where Marcus went there too. It was a middle school within the school. So we had a middle school and 2 high schools all under the McClymonds umbrella. They was trying to get the enrollment up because they were scared the district was going to shut them down. So there was this great idea to create these small schools, but I wasn't in either budget. I was in the district budget. I worked for the Oakland Public School District. So Oakland Public School District don't govern the small schools at McClymonds. The principals had to say, yes, he's in my budget for either Kismac, Best, or Excel. Nobody wanted to put me in their budget.
Wow.
So my only choice was,
one of the purposes of school is to help kids into higher education.
You can coach still and be the coach. I never wanted to be an off-campus coach. I said, first of all, you're not paying me. I don't mind saying it because all these guys are talking about they want to be coaches. Yeah. Just for the record, my first 5 years at McClymonds High School, I was making $18,000 a year working with a son. I left Mac at its peak. I made $23,000. I had benefits, but who makes $23,000 at 30-some years old with 3 kids now?
In the Bay Area.
3 kids. Are you serious? And you tripping with me?
Right.
I'm gone. So when I told her, I begged him, I said, if I interview at Berkeley High, I'm going to get the job because I'm good. I knew I was good. If I interview, I'm going to get the job. Well, I was told, do what you got to do. Coach, went to Berkeley High, got the job. So I went out, I left Mac hurt. I cried, man.
Yeah, you didn't get somebody their donuts.
That hurt me, man.
I think some people looked at it as if I'm the principal or I'm this person, and it can't be a bigger personality that the kid listens to more than me on campus.
He's saying it.
I'm thinking.
I agree. Came bigger than. I told you the documentary, Mac Family, all that. Too much football.
Too much control.
Too much about this guy, this Coach Carter. Too much.
You can't be bigger than Joe Clark. You can't be bigger than Joe Clark at the school.
And most principals that I've met are not even real. They don't. That's not their thing. And they probably got picked on by an athlete.
And hear me out. I had a great relationship with my principals. I did, but due to budget, I wasn't in the budget. Yeah, so I took my talents to Berkeley High.
Coach, how hard is it for an OAL coach to coach an OAL football team with inner city kids on it and not work at the school? Like, how hard is it?
To me, it's almost impossible. That's why I give major props to Coach Edwards And I give major props to Denny at the time, because Denny doesn't get enough credit because he built 2 programs. He built Fremont and Castlemont. And he went to the Silver Bowl. He just never won it. And then he ended up passing away with cancer. And Coach Barnes ended up, which was his coordinator, won the Silver Bowl with that team that Coach Denny started. That was Coach Denny started that team. And Coach Denny lost the Silver Bowl at Fremont to LaCorey College. That's 6-0 or whatever that score. LaCorey got the pick.
7-2.
Yeah, 7-2. LaCorey ran the interception for a touchdown. Right. That was Coach Denny. Coach Denny was the one that taught me how to get your feeder, get your kids from Frick and Bret Hart. Make sure they come in there. So in my case, make sure my little kids, and I'm not clowning, make sure I don't lose Kenny Edwards and Lorenzo Parham. Make sure that they want to come to Mac. Make sure that parent, not just y'all, that parent. He had parent meetings, and he was doing 8th grade recruitment at the schools, which you can't do no more. But he was just teaching me how to get the kids to want to come to Mac. Giving them, he the one told me to start doing the training with Namdi. I never thought of myself as a trainer. My first person I trained, Devon Banks, for the NFL draft the year before I even did Namdi. I trained Devon Banks. I did Devon Banks, and then I did Namdi, and then after that I did Courtney Anderson, which also got drafted by the Raiders. So I have 2 dudes I trained and went to the Raiders. So that was all seeing something in me that I didn't even see in myself. He was, and then making the tapes. Remember, I'm the first one. Everybody came to my house. I made Marshawn Lynch, Josh Johnson, Verdell Larkins highlight tape in my living room, right there with the double deck VCR. Me and Delton and his dad and Big Phil. Just sit there, man. I bought the little double deck VCR. It was tapes back then, so we just had each other back, man. It wasn't no hate. It wasn't no Fremont, Mac, Tech, Funk. It was love. It was competitive on the field. But man, we had a lot of love for them dudes. We go down and hang out and have drinks, talk smack to each other before the game and go hang out afterwards. I'm friends with them dudes to this day. All them guys, I love them dudes, man. Them like my bro. A lot of us, we played against each other. That's like both of y'all coaching. Y'all played against each other. Right. We're going to have that mutual respect for each other. Right. But on the field, it's on today, Kenny. I'll holler at you afterwards. And that's how it was. It ain't like that no more, man. These dudes they're different, man. They ain't angry. I'm like, what are you mad at?
Hey, Zoe, you took it. It's the internet, though, Zoe. It's social media. It's social media that could create that. But do you feel like a coach that's coaching high school and that's not working on the campus can fully give them players what it is that they need? No. I didn't think so either.
That's why I did what I did. That's why I took the unemployment. Mind you, I was taking the unemployment, but still showing up in Mac like I worked there. I didn't have no job. So what else am I gonna do? I sat in Mr. Bellamy's classroom. Just sat in his classroom and made sure my guy, either I was in the classroom or I was sitting in the counselor's office. Because I still was coming on campus, just wasn't getting paid. And never told the players. They never knew. They just like, Coach, why are you at the gym? Oh, I'm over here now. Because I didn't want to disrupt my team. That was my last team. We won the Silver Bowl and we won the Trans-Bay Bowl. That was the year we put hands and feet on San Francisco, on Lincoln, put 70 on them. But that was the last year I coached. I didn't have a job. I was catching the BART and bus and all kind of stuff. It was hurtful. But I had an obligation to them players because you cannot, to me, be fully a successful coach, not without being on campus. I watched Delton work a job and come up to Tech, and just the stress that it would put on him being off campus. I'm like, I can't do that.
To know that Lolo has bashed the car in front of Mike Aliotti.
Nick Aliotti.
Oh, damn it.
You can't. What can you do, bro? You got to be there.
Yeah.
That's what made Beam successful. He was on campus.
Absolutely.
Oakland High, bro. Y'all went to so many coaches. That's why your program
was Kiefer on campus? Because that's the last time I remember them.
Kiefer was the last coach on campus. I remember y'all had Coach.
We had Cooper. He was on campus, but
man, that's why Oakland High up until Jace. Think about the stability.
Mm-hmm.
Once Jace took their job on campus, now you have a little more stability and some
Right.
consistency.
And alumni.
It's tough to be off campus and coaching in the OAL, especially now. Now this I don't know if I can do this. This is so different because social media has spoiled these kids and they feel like you owe them something. We was getting them 7, 8 scholarships on hustle, on grinding, football, track, lifting, running. Don't underestimate the beast mode work ethic. Everybody hears the beast mode. The beast mode was doing that in high school when everybody else watching TV. He was up at Cal running the stadiums before he went to Cal. He was at Strawberry Canyon on Saturday morning running Strawberry Canyon. He was at Maybell Hill running at Maybell Hill, him and Fell now when everybody else was chilling. So what you see is a dude that worked for that and earned that. So if you're not willing to put that kind of work in, wasn't no social media. It was Marshawn Lynch and Adrian Peterson. They came out of high school the same year.
Yep.
And I remember Marshawn went to that California versus Florida game, All-Star game, and he balled out, and he went from being number 3 or 4 to number 2 behind Adrian Peterson. So we don't know who Adrian Peterson is. Ain't no internet back then. We ain't tripping. But we knew as Oakland, I took pride of that too, that this is the best running back around here, regardless if it's OAL or not. This is the guy. Yeah. And he earned that, man. That dude worked for that. Leon Poe worked for that. Leon Poe tore his ACL, coming working out, him and B Ward. Them. I watched that, man. I watched that. So don't underestimate the power of the athletes in the OAL and the work ethic and the drive that they have. It's different, a little different now, but back then, y'all know it was different, man. It was dudes at every school. You better bring your A game or you might lose. Yeah. You think I thought we was going to lose to Tech? No, I thought we was going to beat Tech. Even the heart of hearts, we're going to beat Tech. Then we lost to them. It wasn't even the first time when I said, we'll get them next week. That second time, like, man, I done shot every bullet I got. They were just better than us. And I had to get them in front. I was hurt. I was stunned. But I was like, they good. You know, I went to the Silver Bowl rooting for Tech. You know, so you just got to know what it is. Kenny, I know we had you. I don't worry about you. I said, we got Kenny. Kenny's supposed to be over here with me.
I wouldn't be surprised if teams didn't even practice Oakland High Week.
No, we did. You was good, bro. You was a hell of a player.
So Zoe, and before we go on to talk about college, can I get your opinion on something? Yes. From the outside looking in, what do you think the OEL needs to do as a league-wise to kind of get that late 90s, early 2000s dominance back to where people know, like, hey, the OEL go play.
One of the biggest things we need to do, and I offered myself, and I've done it with some of them, and I give credit to the ones that have done it. We need to, show a little bit more unity amongst each other. I'm naming you all these camps and clubs and stuff, but I didn't only have MAC kids. When I coached at All-Star game at Berkeley High, I had Ryan Murphy and Fred playing for me from Tech with Ricky Galvin and the dudes from MAC. I had OAL Concrete from Fremont. I had OAL players because I knew the coaches. Even when I left and went to Berkeley, we still was tight. I'm like, man, I'm rooting for y'all. I want you to see y'all do well. I don't really think these guys root for each other. I think it's personal. I think it's vindictive in a way, and it's some social media. I'm better than this. I talked to, man, I say it on here. I just talked to my boy today. I talked to Coach Peters. He's from that old school. He's just like me. Talked to him today, and he's just frustrated he's motivated. I'm going to put it like that. He's motivated to continue to prove his dominance because he's frustrated with some of the things he's hearing that people have all these opinions on what he's doing at MAC. What is he doing? He's just following the blueprint that the old school blueprint that works. All this, what y'all doing, all this extra and just getting on. So, because he don't even have social media, so he always hear about it third hand. So by the time it get to him, it's probably exaggerated.
Right?
People like, what? He said, what? Oh, we finna put 50 on. We gonna put 60 on. I'm like, dog, don't do it like that. I was at the game when they scored almost 100
100
on the skyline. I was there. I was like, whoa, he called me at halftime. Y'all coming? I said, what's the score? 50-something minutes. I said, stop lying. Or it's halftime. And I went up there and watched the second half. Like, whoa, could have got 100. But it's just the mentality of the coaches. They need to kind of come together. Think about when, okay, I don't even know if it was your year, but I used to scrimmage Tech. I scrimmaged Tech for the preseason. And even though I knew I played, because I said, well, we're going to play them last anyway. One year I had a jamboree with Tech and Fremont at Mac.
I kind of remember.
I had a jamboree with Tech and Fremont and another school with us. I didn't care. I wanted us to get better. So we put a product out there that outside of each other, I can give you constructive criticism. I don't play you to week 9 or week 10. Hey, man, you might want to work on this. You might want to work on it. Them dudes ain't doing that. But I got that from Amin. Amin helped me. A lot of people mistake me for being a head coach. Even your year, sir, Mr. 98. I wasn't the head coach. I was the defensive coordinator. So even when we was winning or losing, also we beat y'all. Bro, I didn't become the head coach till Maurice Washington's senior year. You know that, right? It's like, huh? Yeah, that was my first year coaching. Actually, no, I'm wrong. The year after that, because Maurice, that's when the fight happened. In the skyline. 99. That's the year it happened. I didn't become the head coach till 2000. So all the years, people thought I was the head coach. Ralph Bellamy was the head coach. I was the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I thought 99 was your first year as head coach.
No, my first year was 2000. Is that Marvin now?
Yeah. That's when you came
head
in.
Coach. That was the head coach.
Yeah.
That's when I became the head coach. But I was on the staff, and like you said, Lolo, I was on campus. I was the one meeting all the colleges. So when the colleges would come, because Coach Bellamy taught English, he was up on the second floor. I gave him respect. I would send them to him, and he would send them right back to me. I'm in the gym. I ain't doing that. I'm the one who had all the books and the profiles and the transcripts and all that. I was breaking down transcript, understanding the academics, which is another piece that we didn't touch on. You're going to be a head high school coach, know how to break down the transcript, understand what the clearinghouse rules is, understand how to do that. So if McClymonds High School is still doing that, and now they got the SPAT program on top of it, what are you mad about? He's just doing his job.
Right.
So if I'm a parent and I want the whole package, step your game up.
From the outside looking in, I feel, and I could be totally wrong because I'm not in the whole OAL mix right now, but from the outside looking in, it seems like there's an old guard and a new guard. And I wonder if Coach Peters is just a little bit older, because I do see Joe Bates and Ed Washington working together. And Omari trying to fill in at Fremont a little bit, but there's an age gap, and I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Joe has done some good things. Ed calls me does some good. He always calls to get validated. I think Murph coming, taking over at Fremont is going to do some good things. Phil talks to Phil all the time. They all do some good things. The difference between Coach Peters is just his mindset is all about, like mine was, we all about helping kids. And if a player wants to go to a Division I level, and that's something that he's trying to do, the reality of his success of what he's done as an assistant coach and as a head coach and as a father.
As a father.
You know, I remember getting on him like, oh, when you going to make Marcus highlight tape? He's like, nah, dog, I'm going to make it last because I don't want people tripping with me. I'm like, what? Man, please. So me and Tim Deneve, God rest his soul, we helped him put that together. Like, man, that few finna get his tape done too. And that bothered him. And you shouldn't be feeling bad for putting Marcus stuff together. He's the best player in the league. He's cream of the crop. He's the best player out here. But you feel such a pressure in not helping other people. You want to try to make sure everybody come up. So he's that humble, man. He don't even do an interview. You can't get him on here. He ain't no way he's coming on here. He ain't
but that's why Mikey don't get Mikey is
Mikey
he don't want to shine.
Yeah,
some people are built like that. But the people that know he worked, and me not even knowing that, who was the first name that came out of my mouth? Mikey Denard. I said
right.
Mikey and Gino are the only two people like my peers that I'll fan out when I'm around them. I'm like,
them dudes, man, made me look at football from a coaching perspective. Like, we're gonna have a problem. And them are two of the two guys that I lost to. I've lost to Mikey back to back, and Gino beat me in MAC. We beat them. We beat them in the regular season, and they beat us in the playoffs. And it pissed me off. Didn't go to the Silver Bowl. I was sick. But those dudes were different, and I think that's when you can start comparing eras. To me, like Marshawn and Fell and even Josh, those guys at Tech, that were at other schools. I always ask, who could have played in those other eras? Who could have played? You could have stuck Red in the 80s, and he still would have been Red, you know. Now, it's a whole different physical part of the game. But like I said, I'm telling you about Dwayne Gardner, you know, and it was Dwight Gardner, Dwayne Gardner, all the Derek Gardner, all them Gardners. They was ballers off Skyline. That was in 85, undefeated. You know, so there's certain guys that you could have put them in them different eras, and they still would have been good football players, and they still would have had the same respect. And now as coaches, that's where the coaching tree fall off, because certain guys don't want to do this coaching thing because it's a lot, because you're dealing with parents, man. Parents, please let your kids just enjoy it. Let them grow up. Let them go through the 9th and 10th grade and just play, whether it be freshman, JV, whatever it is. We not watching that film. I just told some players last night, I don't want to see the Jack in the Box commercial. Remember when the dude with the daddy, that's my son right there, when he had the big helmet on? I don't want to see no freshman film. I mean, no. I don't even want to see his 10th grade film unless he on varsity. But that junior and senior year, okay, send that to me. Now, you got camps and all this different stuff that you use to put them out that we didn't used to have. The Nike Combine used to be a combine. You used to have a bench press, run the 40, and do all that with colleges on the grass.
It was real.
Looking at you, taking notes and staring at you. So they don't have that no more. So it's a different beast, man. And I just want people to continue to respect the league the way it is. But I want the people that's representing the league to properly put it out there like it needs to be. When I put this coat on, I wear this coat with pride because that's my school. And when I go watch them play, I go, that's MAC football. It ain't changed. Right. And when I see them teams arguing about the 14-0 and the 12-0 team, they're able to argue with me about, well, we would have beat y'all. No, hold on a minute now. Y'all only went 11-1. Yeah, but y'all didn't play who we played. So it's healthy conversation. Good conversation. Like you talking about the best Tech team. That's a healthy conversation. Look what you naming, two of the best teams in Tech. Now, what they gonna get you? I have to give them credit. They won it, so they gonna probably tell you shut up.
That'd be the
and
argument.
That's what I'm saying. Championships do matter, man.
We won it.
Championships do matter.
We beat a good team. They beat a Kenny O'Neill Skyline team at the Coliseum.
It wasn't no drop off.
And they lost to them the first time, so they're gonna tell you. And I remember Delton telling me, because I was at the game when they stopped it, because it was a fight. It was at Tech. They had to stop the game. And it was third quarter or so. We hadn't even got to the fourth quarter. And Del was like, man, we should have kept playing, because I think we'd have came, because it was losing. We'd have came back and beat them. And I was like, you sure? And he's like, yeah, we're going to beat them. They got in that championship game and got it done. And they beat them. So mad props to that Tech team. That was a very, very good team. Very good Tech football.
So here's my argument, and then we can move on. Lolo's team, okay, maybe it was the time period of football, whatever. They were very one-dimensional. It was Mikey left, Mikey right, Mikey halfback pass.
They were.
Right? The 04 Tech team.
Here is why I think I'm giving a good game, slight edge, because that Tech team with Lolo and defense was just so
best defense I ever played
off the chart.
Best defense
so
I ever played.
I think they would have gave that team problems. Now, the X factor, which I got to understand what Kenny is saying, Josh Johnson at quarterback creates a problem. Now, their best receiver and their best DB happen to be Lil Fell. So if you got somebody that can deal with him, which he was a monster to deal with that, now you got a shot, but you still got to deal with that grown man in the backfield, beast mode.
And so, 04 defense was solid.
You know, so it's almost like looking in the mirror. Those are both that's a healthy
That's a good
argument.
one. Yeah.
It's just my opinion. I love both them teams. I coached against both them teams, but that 98 team was a problem, man. They beat me twice.
Low feeling good.
I told Ken,
Low said we can stop the interview.
Hey, I told Ken, I said Ken, even team speed wise, we got them team speed wise. Like
that was a good
Lawrence,
football team.
myself, Lawrence Park, Dwayne Hawkins, Matt Cobb. Matt Cobb was literally right next to us in sprints. Like he can really run, right? I just felt like, you know what? We were right there.
But
put it on Madden. Let's create the players.
The beauty of that is just to think about what we're talking about. And I think this is where I would love to, I'm gonna toot my horn a little bit. From 2001, because see, you went through that era, low, everybody still lost the skyline.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in 2001, once we beat them, we make it seem like it's okay. We beat them in 2001. They come back and win with Giannis in 2002. 2003, Marshawn and them win it. We come back and win it in 05 and 06. And I leave, then Castlemont win it. Now Fremont win it. So the invincibility of Skyline started in 2001. We was the one that broke that. Y'all not invincible. Y'all can be beat. And you don't have to go that hill to beat them. And when Tech did it, it was like 2 years. It was just, Marshawn was a sophomore when we won. That when Marshawn, a lot of people don't know, Marshawn went first team all league as a wide receiver his sophomore year.
Hey,
wide receiver and running.
Let me say this, Coach. Do you feel, and this is the rec center, I'm gonna ask this question. Do you feel once Bean start getting them losses in these things and you guys figuring out the blueprint that paved the way, we able to get these players in, everybody not just running to the heel, once he felt like it was beatable, not winning it every year, do you feel he was like, let me take my talents on now, well, because I can't keep the dominance I once had?
No, back when I was coaching, yeah, I felt that way. I felt like, okay, yeah, you better run up out of here. You ain't getting it like that. But knowing what I know now, to his credit, just like me, you had the opportunity to coach junior college and not only be a coach, but to be an athletic director at a junior college. You can't pass that up, you know. But when I was coaching, if you're just talking young, Zoe talking shit and fuck that, we here, we've arrived, good job, Tech, good job. So, you know, when I thought that then, but when you peel it back and you look at where he's at and why he left, and to go to Laney and be the coordinator and now become the head coach and the athletic director, you can't knock him for doing that. And then Wynn stayed over there.
Absolutely.
Props to him over there. He won state over there. So I'm not going to, at that time, I was like, yeah, he better leave, you know, because I feel
how was y'all's relationship?
Walls was closing. We're good. I think a lot of people, and I'm glad you asked that, a lot of people always try to pit me against Coach Bean. And it's tough because to me it's respect because you hear a lot about him, you hear a lot about me. But the reality of it is when I came into coaching, he was the person that everybody wanted to be. I just figured out a way and my own way to make that happen. And not only make it happen, I always felt like my win wasn't him when we were playing in the Silver Bowl. I always wanted to get more kids signed in. That wasn't what I wanted to do. Because I used to be jealous reading about him and Bishop Odell winning these games and then these guys signing these scholarships and nobody else wasn't. That bothered me more than them winning the little football games because once the season is over, I'm on the track. You know, my mind is on going to state. Now nobody give a damn, hey, you know we played in the Super Bowl. Man, take this stick and shut up. You know, ain't thinking, watch this 45 from Obi Mo. Nobody care about that.
Right.
So my mentality really was the February. Like I told you, there was a method to my madness. You gonna beat me. If you beat me in November, you ain't gonna beat me in February. You damn sure ain't gonna beat me in May. That's the state me. So I just had a whole different way of viewing how do I balance this thing out. Because think about it, as good as that football team we talk about with y'all, Lolo, in '98, nobody talks about the baseball team that won it.
That won
Nobody,
it.
we don't talk about that. I
Right.
remember it, but nobody
remember
talks
it.
about it. That's very relevant because football is the king of everything. Football is it. So as much as I was winning in track, I said, okay, even if I can't beat him on the field of football, can I get more guys signed than him for football? That was really my inner juices. That was my competitive piece, meeting every coach he knew. Remember, I told you one coach came to Oakland and didn't come to Mac. And I'm like, well, why you didn't come to Mac? And they laughed like, well, where's McClemmons? They didn't even know how to say McClemmons. Where's that?
Right.
And I said right then and there, I got to change that. Not only you going to know about McClemmons, you're going to know about Tech, Castlemont, Fremont, Oakland High. You're going to know when you come to Oakland, there's a lot of talent. And I just felt that was what was going to make me different from Beam. And I'm not knocking Beam, but Beam was all about talent.
And only some of them.
I'm about the whole thing.
But I got it. I do, because I don't want the interview to end without, because I've said this to you personally numerous times, but I want to make this public. That two things. One, yes, 100%. I know for a fact schools or coaches would come to Oakland High and be like, "Hey, where's Kenny Edwards?" Da, da, da. And I'm like, how you even? Because my coach got fired. So how you hear about me? Oh, the coach at Mac told us before we leave, we need to come by here. I'm like, wow, did that? No. I never heard of that. So, and then in the All-Star
that was back in what year you graduated, King?
2000.
Okay, so think about that. I'm doing that back. Lamont and them, all of y'all, it didn't make me know. Mikey Denard. I remember the comparisons, him and Ratliff and all that. I ain't taking that from Ratliff. I'm like, whoa, what about Mikey? So it was important to me to make sure that the league was successful. It was important that everybody got their props because I wasn't recruited. Now you understand. I was a walk-on, so no one recruited me. Nobody knew who I was. So I wanted to make sure that never happened to nobody else that could play.
So Zoe, when we
what I'm saying?
So Zoe, when we talk about giving props and everything, all of the coaches, I coach youth football, but I'm around the OAL coaches, and all of them look up to you. You're like the pinnacle coach to high school football in Oakland right now. And I even got challenged on this one time because I coach youth football. They like, man, Low can't even coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, he better go ask about me. I coach with Zoe. And I'm like, man, you coach with Zoe. Okay, let hey, check this out, man. Hey.
Oh, like my
you think Lo don't know football? You coach with Zoe. Go ask Zoe about whatever, right? But Zoe, so being this coach that a lot of young coaches look up to, name dropping everything. How did the whole coaches Zoom come on that I saw all over social media and things like that? Like big deal where this coaches Zoom, this black coaches Zoom at that. How did that come about?
Same mentality. Here I am in a business where I'm a running back coach. I get on a Zoom and it's 25, 30 running back coaches. And I look at the screen, everybody's black. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. They talking ball. I'm talking deep. I'm talking LSU, Louisville, Florida State, Texas A&M, Iowa, all these dudes, some of the best dudes in the business, they talking ball. And I'm like, damn, these dudes are sharp. These dudes know their stuff, but everybody on here black and ain't no coordinators on here. So that kind of bothered me because I'm like, I know a lot of these guys, and Ron Gould ended up getting on there, and then Carl McDonald from Utah is the one that put me on there. And I was like, I need to do the same thing, but I'm gonna take it and make it West Coast. That's why I call it West Coast Zoom Clinic. Pac-12, Big Sky, Mountain West. Yeah. Primarily African-American coaches and Polynesian coaches get us on a Zoom, but we're not talking about no X's and O's. We're going to talk about how can we help each other become the next head coach, the next offensive coordinator, the next defensive coordinator, the next special teams coordinator. We're going to talk about elevation in the game. What's the game within the game? How do you become the next Eric Bieniemy, the next Anthony Lynn, the next Herm Edwards? How do you become the next Hugh Jackson? Let's talk about that. Well, what do I do through the connection? Well, I know Derek Mason and I know Willie Taggart. How I know them when they was at Stanford under Harbaugh. How do I know Harbaugh? Harbaugh recruited Josh Johnson of Oakland. So let me use all my relationships. Let me call Johnny and Bree from the 49ers, which is best friends with Eric Bieniemy, and invite them on a Zoom and talk to us about how can we elevate ourselves to be the next Anthony Lynn, the next Mike Tomlin. Let's have some conversation to be the next David Shaw, the next James Franklin. Let's have a dialogue about this. Jimmy Lake. How did you go from being the DB coach to the head coach at University of Washington? Let's create conversation. So I just start reaching out to people and start asking them questions. And I use Ron Gould at Stanford, Mike Jinks at SC, and Dwayne Walker. He's at Arizona now, but he had just got let go out the league. All of them were former black head coaches that got fired. And I wanted them to explain to us what they did right and what they did wrong. And if they could do it all over again, how would they do it? And it started off with 100 coaches. Man, that thing got out. Oh, Zoe, you didn't tell me you was having an Zoe. That thing went from 100 to 200 to 300 to 500 to 600 coaches.
All black coaches.
All black. Couple of Polys, Kalani Sataki from BYU. Look what they ended up doing. He got on there and told his story. The first ever Polynesian coach in the history of BYU. Tell his story. Mario Cristobal, first Cuban coach to ever coach in Oregon. He get on there, he tell his story. It was 14 black head coaches in the FBS. I had 13. 13 out of the 14 came over there. Mike Loxley, he get on there and talk about the coalition, which I'm a part of. I'm an executive board member there. He told his vision for that. So and the whole concept was listen, learn, and network. That's what this whole business is. And then you got all the social unrest with the George Floyd, all that stuff happened. Now we just giving our different opinions on what's going on in Florida, Washington, Louisiana, California. Everybody just chiming in, man. And it was deep. And I just came up with different topics every week. And it just grew, man. And I'm blessed to be the person that started. I had a lot of help. Kafense Henson from Oregon State. Keith Haywood at Oregon. Yep. Junior Adams up at UW. You got to remember, I knew all these dudes when they was GAs.
Yeah. Is this the same junior Adams that played from
yes.
Amador Valley?
Valley? He's the wide receiver.
Went to St. Mary's. Confense was my host when I went to Willamette on a recruiting.
Okay, think about this now. Look at these names I'm giving you. Right. They all Power 5 Pac-12 coaches now. Right. I knew them back. I knew Junior when he played in high school.
Right.
So now they in a position to help and give back. They was all with it. They was behind the scenes pushing me like, so you make that phone call. People respect you, and you'll be able to bring us all together. Biggest reason why I started is I don't like black coaches having issues with other black coaches over recruiting. Just because you at USC and I'm at Oregon and you at Arizona State, we can't take a picture together. We can't be friends because you coach at another school. That's a problem. Because I'm used to hugging Delton Edwards, and I mean Denny. I'm used to hanging out with them. I'm not used to, oh, no, you went to Tech. I can't.
I couldn't even imagine.
Oh, Chinny, you went to Oakland High. I can't talk to you. What? But believe it or not, it was a lot of that.
That's happening right now with OAL coaches right now.
It needs to stop. And I'm going to try to fix it because that's wrong. Because we got to help each other, bro. I didn't get here on an accident. Y'all, the beauty of y'all watched me as a young coach get here.
Mm-hmm. The whole journey.
Y'all didn't even know just to now. I wasn't even the head coach, bro.
No.
Right.
I was assistant coach.
But it's funny you sent us the resume. I'm like, I don't need this. I saw the whole thing.
It just puts it all in perspective when you look at how it went. And people was like, when did you know you were going to be Division I coach? I didn't know I wanted to be a Division I coach. And I think we left this out. I can throw it in because it's getting long. Until I got to Contra Costa. And when I got to Contra Costa, y'all know the history of Contra Costa. Did nobody want to go to no damn CC?
Like jail in Mexico.
Right.
Don't
You're
nobody
not
want to
going
go
to
to
CC. I didn't want to go to CC. When they offered me the job, I said, no, thank you. I'm not interested. John Wade, the AD, sold me on the vision. Him and the president, McKinley, sold me on the vision. Hey, man, we seen what you've been doing. They knew my whole background. We seen what you did at McClimus. We seen what you did at Berkeley High. We want you to bring that here. I said, no, thank you. He said, hold on, listen to me. See, I want you to visualize this. That's what he got me. Not only you can help kids from Oakland and Berkeley, but now you can help kids from Richmond, Leo, wherever you're going to get them from, and make sure they graduate. So his main thing was make sure the kids was graduating. He said, I ain't tripping on how many games they're going to win. I just want y'all to graduate. And when I did the interview, I said, yeah. And I told him, we're going to win too. We're going to graduate. We're going to win some games.
Right.
Just like at Mac, my third year, I won my first Silver Bowl at Mac. My third year at Contra Costa, I won my first regional championship. My third year at Berkeley High, we won our best record. And now even at San Jose State, it was my fourth year, we won a Mount West championship. So all that stuff, man, goes back to me saying, once I got to Contra Costa, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. And then fast forward, remember, I told you I left school to go on tour with Hammer. Now I got Ish Anderson, my former player, working at Hayward, like, bring me them Cal State Hayward transcripts. Now it's Cal State East Bay. I went to Contra Costa, a lot of people don't know, got my AA degree first, then transferred back to East Bay. Ish laid out the blueprint, graduated, got my degree in 2016. A week later, that same coach I met in 1999 named Brent Brennan, is the head coach, hired me and offered me a job a week after I graduated.
Hey, and the
I
way
was
that
46 years old, brother, when I didn't have no degree. I'm telling y'all to go to school. Let me go get mine. To the credit of my wife, Alonzo Carter, she held me down and had my back and made sure I got it done. And John Wade, my AD, and Coach Brennan from afar. He didn't know he was going to be no head coach. He was just being a friend. Go back to school, man. Go back to school. So I was taking online classes, driving from San Pablo to Hayward, back and forth, and coaching. So don't talk to me about no sacrifices and anything. I was 46. It was, with a full family. So it can get done.
Absolutely. So we got a couple more things I want to talk to you about before we let you get out of here. One of the things is I watched this San Jose State team happen to where you guys got it at. I was at one of the first coaches clinics you guys had on that Friday night. Coaches clinic you guys had with some of the high school coaches y'all brought in there. Then the next day, I brought my son out for the youth camp in the high school thing. And the way you guys broke that down, it felt like, each person had their own recruiting region for San Jose State. And I tell the coaches that I coach with, if you a youth football coach and you can't bring in 5 players, so as a coach, I should be able to go get 5 players anytime. That's the following I should be able to have. And to watch you guys do that, how different of the recruiting is at junior college than it is at D1 when you got a lot of other schools fighting to get these kids you guys recruiting?
It's tough, man, but I think junior college is even harder because you got to remember at junior college, there's no scholarships. Well, in community college, they got them in the national JCs against college. But you're talking about San Mateo, San Francisco City College, and Laney College. And not to mention DVC, which is right up the street, which historically was getting most of the Richmond kids. And then Los Medanos, which was getting all the Concord and Pittsburgh kids. And then Contra Costa. So you dealing with a whole, and then you got the Lolos that's thinking they're going to Long Beach City, or the other guys that's going down to Santa Barbara. We got kids going to Santa Barbara Junior College and end up coming back because they just like you. They're homeless, can't afford it, and end up coming back. You hear so many stories. And then if you're trying to get away, you can't knock it. Kids go up to Butte. Kids go up
Siskiyous.
to Siskiyous, they go up to Feather River. So you dealing with a whole lot. American River, good football programs just to get out of Oakland. Sometimes kids just want to get out of Oakland. So to me, that's harder because even though you're recruiting at San Jose State and we don't have all those resources, you still know that there's a scholarship attached to it. You still know there's a free education attached to it. Junior colleges ain't coming with that. You got to get an AA degree and transfer to get a scholarship. So that prepared me. I felt like, remember, I'm the head coach. I went from taking that roster to 40-something players to over 110 players in 2 years. There was 100+ players on my roster at Contra Costa, which to me was like a miracle in itself, just to get players who want to come there and not only get players, but getting them out. I mean, I was averaging 15, 20 cats going Division I, JC All-Americans, going to Power 5 school. I had Pac-12, Big 12, we ACC. We was pushing them players out using all my relationships that I had from high school. And now these young coaches that I know, they all moving up the ladder. They happy to see me move up the ladder. And remember, I used to give my coaches clinic at Contra Costa where I get all these dudes and let them come in and speak to the youth coaches. Let me say this too. I'm going to props to you. If there's another coaches clinic that I give or another coach give, and there's more youth coaches than high school coaches at it, that's a problem. That needs to stop. Big props to the youth coaches, but you high school coaches, ain't no way you know everything. So you should be at that coach's clinic just like the high school coaches. I mean, the youth coaches at the coach's clinic. For years, I gave them probably a $500 clinic, easy, a Nike clinic roster with Derek Mason and all of them at Contra Costa. It would be, if it's 75 coaches, 50 of them was from the East Bay Warriors and the Dynamites. And then the other 25 might be high school coaches. What are we doing? But you know everything. That got to stop. And that goes back to the problem. When I was a coach, I spent my own money and went to the convention. I slept on Junior Adams and Coach Rushing, my boy, God rest his soul. I slept on their floor because I wanted to be there. I wanted to meet these coaches. I kept hearing about the AFCA convention. Well, I wanted to be there. Now we got things like the coalition that we started, and even in these Zoom clinics and all that. You can't say you want to be a coach and help people and you're not meeting people. Just because I know who you are locally, that don't mean I know who you are in Texas or Louisiana, because there's a McClymonds High School everywhere you go. There's an Oakland Tech everywhere you go. You know that once you leave. When y'all go to Florida, whatever, for the championships, whatever, you say Florida, but you're really in Orlando. Miami and Tallahassee and Tampa, but you know how big Florida is. You know how big Louisiana is. You know how big Texas is. You know how big Georgia is. They got players just like you got players. So you got to make sure you educating yourself and rubbing elbows with people that's going to make you better, taking advantage of all your resources. And I think that's one of the things I do, and that's one of the things I'm continuing to do. And the Zoom is a prime example of it. No one told me to give that. No one told me to put that together. That was just me wanting to help my people, me wanting to help other young coaches become head coaches, because I want to be a head coach again one day too. So how do you learn? You call Mel Tucker. You call Willie Simmons and Terry Sims from the HBCU. You want to know? Ed Washington said, "Hey, Zoe, why the HBCU coaches don't recruit out of California?" I said, "You know what? I can do better than that. Let's do an HBCU clinic." Well, I had the whole MEAC and the SWAC, Grambling, Southern, Prairie View, Florida A&M, Morgan State, all of them, North Carolina, A&T, all of them on one big Zoom, talking to every coach in California. Now you ask them. So now they feel connected. Now they're my dudes. I just hung up with Willie Simmons last night. That's the guy I talked to, Terry Sims, Bethune-Cookman, last night. Clarence McKinney from Texas Southern. Yesterday, those are guys I talk to on a regular now. I met them on the Zoom, man. It's all about networking and expanding your brain and making sure people know who you are. So when you got a player, they got scholarships at the FCS level at HBCU football too. Texas Southern got the same scholarship Sac State got.
Yeah, me and Low went HBCU.
Yeah,
Got the same money.
it was a horrible experience though.
Yeah, but we went.
But we went.
We had a little
But
Scally money.
But think about how many guys from California say they're going to Grambling or Southern, and they go, but they don't really go. They go blind.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't go connected. They
Right.
just go. And then they try to do like I did. I want to walk off the football team. Dude, we got 150 dudes out here.
Yeah.
They
Right.
look just like you. Unless I recruited you and brought you here, that probably not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Well,
I learned that the hard way at San Jose.
exactly. Now you can fix that.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone. Hey man, I got one. Hey man, y'all got some money for me? Whether it be a partial scholarship, full scholarship, whatever it is, there's a process to it. But if they don't know you, they don't really have to know you because they got enough of that right there in the South. So if you going from California down into that dirty South, you better be a dude. You better be real. And then you better know what you're walking into. Because they really
Everywhere ain't California.
So,
you gotta know.
So just hearing you say, it's like it feels like coaches getting into coaching, but not the reasoning that you got into it when you started. They get into the coaching for the wrong reason. This is why I've got big props for Lamont and Tristan that started the Seminoles, right? So when we started the Seminoles, it wasn't we didn't care about the wins and losses of football.
I remember
right?
when you started the Seminoles. Yeah.
We wanted to mentor kids, but if I tell a parent come sign your kid up for mentoring and stuff, nobody shows up. But if I say come sign up for this football team, we get the kids we want to mentor and we could teach football at the same time, right? So that's one of the big things about Lamont and Treston. Shout out to them. And they some San Jose State guys, which who brought us to the coaches clinic and things like that you guys did at San Jose State. And now to see that it come in fruition and you guys win the first. When was the last time San Jose State won it before you guys did?
They've never won the Mountain West.
Never.
They won the WAC, but they never won the Mountain West. First time in the history of the school that they won the Mountain West, and it was the first time we've beaten Boise State in the Mountain West.
Wow!
So it was a lot of firsts.
So that's going to bring in a whole different dynamic now and anything like that. How do you get kids in this era that we in nowadays, the era of instant gratification? How do you get kids to be like, yo, hold on, you got these dudes in front of you. Don't just check out and hit the transfer portal so quick because
we
that's the era.
We haven't had a whole lot of kids to do that as far as going in the portal. What we've done as a collective is we've never had nothing higher than a 5th ranking in the recruiting rankings. It's 12 schools in the Mountain West. We've never been ranked higher than 5th. We were 9th last year, and right now they got us 10th. As far as recruiting the names, the big name guys. We kind of cherry pick the players that we feel fit our program, and we obviously have a big emphasis on the Bay, and that's one of the reasons why I'm there, to make sure we recruit the South Bay and the East Bay, and we try to find kids that fit the culture, because no one's going to bat 1,000. They don't even bat 1,000 in Alabama. You're going to have some misses, but you want to try to make sure you pick players that fit the culture, what you're trying to do. And I remember hearing from some of our players, because they tell me, why you going to San Jose State? They sorry. Our players will tell us, especially the local ones, oh, you going to San Jose State? Well, the beauty of them picking to come to San Jose State is because they wanted to be a part of the turnaround. They wanted to be part of the come up. They wanted to be a part of the bringing the pride back to the Silicon Valley, as we call it, bringing that whole Spartan Nation, whatever type of attitude. You got guys like Kenny Edwards, I'm sure, that were chest poked out, Lamont Robinson, all of them. I heard from them dudes. They felt that, like, thank you. Just to feel proud to be an alumni, man. It was important. And Coach Brennan, you got to remember, his mom and dad played at San Jose State. His daddy played football. His mom was a cheerleader. And then he was also a coach there before as an assistant. So he understood what that was and what it needed to be. And it was tough, man. And it's still tough. Now we had to climb the mountain. That was our mantra. Well, now we got to stay on top of the mountain. Now people trying to come at you. And it's still It's still a process. I'm just a piece of it. I feel an important piece of it because a lot of players and coaches knew who I was, and they knew in the event that I did, whether I took a kid or didn't take a kid, whether it be from the OAL, from the East Bay or whatever, it was for a reason. You know, if I felt they were good enough, I would bring them to the table and make people understand what the recruiting process is. And you got to stop looking at things in such a small window. We're talking about the whole state of California. There's a lot of good players. You by running track, I keep using track as an example because not until you get to the state meet, whether it be junior college or high school, we ain't gonna talk about national. That's a whole nother thing. You don't really realize how many other good runners or players there are in California, man. It is a lot of dudes. Kenny, you said you walked on this San Jose. You probably walked in there like,
I said,
what
yeah. So
in
about
the
that
hell is this?
so broadcasting, yeah, I think I could do broadcasting.
What is this?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I knew I wasn't going to the NFL.
Even me walking on at Hayward, man, that was Division II, and I walked in there like, whoa, where all these dudes come from? I thought I was starting. You're like, rookie. That's how my nickname was, rookie. Rookie, you get over there, sit down, rookie. You ain't for the play. You better earn your stripes. And which by my junior year I did start, but it's a process. And Lolo, everybody want to skip the process because of social media. They want the instant gratification. They want the likes and the tweets and what it. I feel blessed. You got dudes feeling blessed to go to junior college. I feel blessed.
We talked about that.
I feel blessed to be a PWO. I'm like, are you feeling blessed to be a walk-on?
To go spend your mama money?
Are you tweeting that? I mean, it's great.
I'm proud to announce.
I'm a walk-on, but I didn't feel blessed and put it on Twitter.
Nah.
Even though we didn't have Twitter then, but it's just that mentality, man. It's look at me, what I'm doing type of thing. And there's nothing wrong with social media. Trust me. You look at mine, I use everything and I push as much positive information that I can, but just have a balance to that and know what's real and what ain't real. It's a lot of real stuff. Y'all going through it. As soon as y'all started y'all little debate on Facebook, look what happened. Now, to y'all credit, look what y'all did with it. Okay, we're gonna make something positive out of it. And it still be getting jabbed at, but you've taken it and you broaden this thing, and then you're gonna be able to get some perspective. And you're gonna have some people going to agree with me. I can't wait to see the comments, but some people are gonna be like, "Oh man,
you getting the
as soon as we stop recording, Lowe's gonna put it on Facebook. I already know.
No,
we can't even keep this a surprise that you was the guest.
I whooped on him when in '97. No, I wasn't. Oh, I'm sorry, all y'all that I'm gonna let y'all know. I'm sorry to disappoint anybody from 1992 to '99. I was not the head coach. So yes, I was on the staff, but I didn't become the head coach to 2000.
So they didn't beat you.
Okay.
You beat McClimans. Yes, you did, but you did not beat Alonzo Carter. So in 2000 to 2006, if you're a part of any of them victories, yes, that counts. If you look at my overall record, you did beat me. But all these, I beat him in '95. Who was the head coach? Right. Just ask him.
So, Zoe, this is the last question we got for you, Zoe, because I got to run a parent-teacher conference.
Yeah, I got to go too.
It's going to be start, bench, cut, Zoe. It's called start, bench, cut. I'm going to give you some names. You got to start one, you got to bench one, and you got to cut the other two because it's going to be four in here.
Oh, he threw four in there.
So the first one's going to be coaches of your era. You got Coach Edwards. You got Coach Bean. You got Amin Denny. And you got Michael Peters, Pooh. Start, bench, and cut two of them.
You wrong, man. How you gonna have me do? Come on. Start, bench, or cut one of them?
Two of them.
You got to cut two of them.
Start
one of them and bench one.
You got to cut two because it's four.
Well, I'm starting Michael Peters.
Starting Pooh. Okay.
He got to start. He won state championship, and he's done it. You can't take that from him. What's the next category?
No, it's bench. Who you benching?
Bench means they sitting on the bench. Like next up,
they on the team, but they don't start.
You wrong for this.
And this gonna be our teaser too.
Well, I'm gonna be biased again. I don't care if nobody like because I know how he did it. Del Edwards. I'm taking
Benching
Del.
Coach Edwards, and we're going to cut Coach Denny and Coach Peters.
No.
Absolutely.
I got
Beam.
Coach
You
Peters.
gonna cut
I mean,
Beam.
you go cut Coach Beam and Coach Denny.
Let me tell why.
Oh, he went the politician route.
I'm cutting Coach Beam, not because I don't think he did a good job, but Coach Fardella started that program, and Coach Edwards built Tech program, and Coach Peters, after I left when it fell off, built McClymonds right back up to what it was. And Coach Denny, I love him to death. He was one of my mentors, but he never won it. So if you're gonna kind of put him in that space, but he was one of the best at it. But I'm starting Coach Peters, and Coach Edwards is on the bench waiting to tag to get in.
Okay, and the
I'm
last
sticking
one
to
before we sign out, right? And this is for the younger coaches. You
Okay.
got Ed Washington, you got James Barnes, and you got Lil Phil.
Start, bench, cut.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I gotta say, that's a tough one too, but I gotta start James Barnes. I mean,
Starting
he
JB.
won the Silver Bowl and he took over Coach Denny, which I mentioned earlier. And I
So
gotta
would that be the same argument as Bean because Coach Denny, there was Coach Denny team that he built?
yes and no, but if you look at
Okay.
the opponents you gave me, you said Coach Fell and Coach Ed, which I love them
Right.
both, but Ed Fell's on the bench because he hasn't won it yet, but he's done a good job with sustaining that program, and I think he can. And I gotta cut Ed till he get it done. Ed is cut. I love Ed, but he cut. But Fell is on the team, but right now JB maintain, and JB not only did JB win one, he also went to the Silver Bowl and they lost one. So he's been there twice.
Okay.
Now, Phil did make it to the championship once, if I'm not mistaken, with Tech, right? Coach, yeah, Tech went with Phil, right? Didn't they go once?
I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so. They lost. They got upset last year in
With
the
Castlemont. I
playoffs.
know Castlemont beat him.
They got upset in the playoffs by Oakland High.
So Phil's never been to the Silver Bowl?
I don't think so. Not as a coach.
That's interesting. I might have to switch my vote.
Hey, you know what? That is a good debate because I think Ed has a harder
I gotta
job.
put Ed on the bench then.
Ed got a harder job.
Ed's job is the hardest. Ed's on the bench then. And if Phil ain't never even made it to the Silver Bowl, which I thought he did at least once, then we can double check this. Then
okay. So we got the argument, Ken. We gonna do the fact check. So if Phil made it, Ed, you on the bench. If Phil didn't made it, Phil, you on the bench. Got it.
Other way around.
You got my point though.
Yeah,
you got Zoe point.
Yeah, I got
you got Zoe point.
We got it.
Because I remember Ed beating Phil head to head that year they went. I was at the game. Now Phil was missing a few players because of this off the field situation, but I remember Castlemont beating Tech to go to this championship, and they lost to Mac in the championship game. But I could have swore Tech made it one year.
I definitely got to talk to Phil about that because Ken, I got to talk to Phil about that because in that sentence it don't even sound right. Castlemont beating Tech, like that don't even sound right.
Things change.
Did you left out, man? You left out. Well, you say this era. Okay.
This era.
Why Joe wasn't in the conversation? You know, Joe made it to the championship.
Because deep down,
Joe haven't had a season yet other than this one so far since he's been back. Only this past season. They haven't had a season. That 98-0 score, that wasn't on Joe.
No, but I thought Joe made it to the championship. So Joe never made it to the Silver Bowl before. Like, didn't he make it to the Silver Bowl last year or the year before?
I think last year. They went, but it wasn't one of them things. Jace pulled out of the game or something happened. I don't want to say that on Jace. I don't want to say he put out of the game. Players ineligible, but whatever happened with that, I'm not sure.
So this is what it really is. And Lolo and I are on the same page with this. We are one family, but deep down, Lolo and I have a subconscious hatred for Skyline football.
Ah, absolutely. There's no sugarcoating it. I will admit that straight up. I never
You
beat
know, you
them,
just
man.
get beat up for so long. It's just like, man,
I get
we
it,
love
'cause
them though. We love it.
it's
It's just,
tradition. You gotta, if nothing else, you give them the credit of making us all want to be better.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It was on some other shit.
We love them, but deep down, we hate
Trust me, I understand.
them.
Zoe, I want to thank you for coming on the
No,
Rex.
man, y'all been. I
Man,
appreciate
thank you for
that.
so much time, man.
I don't know if this how long you normally be, but this
It don't.
Nah. It's season 3. We had to open it. It's so much to cover. 20-something years of coaching.
Yeah, man, that's a lot. I appreciate y'all. I love what y'all doing,
thank
man.
you so
Keep
much,
doing
bro.
it, man. Y'all need me for anything, talking to them kids, anything, let me know.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about the young ones. I got you. I would love to
Appreciate you, Zoe. Thank you a
don't
lot
be
for
one of
coming
these
on,
dudes.
man.
Yeah, don't try to say he busy. Let me know. It's good.
Absolutely. All right.
All right.
Have a good.
Much love.
Hey, Ken, man, it's gonna be a long one. I don't know. Do you want to do 2 parts? I don't want
No,
to do. You want to
I'm
break
gonna just drop it.
one full 3-hour interview, whatever
Just
we got
drop
to do.
It was
Hey,
gems,
man, thanks a lot for Zoe coming on, man. Letting it know, setting the tone for season 3, man. You can't set a better tone for season 3. All of the knowledge and wisdom that he have, man. That people, I want coaches to hear, to
Mhm.
understand. You got to be intentional in coaching.
Yeah.
It's intentional. It ain't wins and losses. It ain't this. It is be intentional in what it is. Because what hurt me, Ken, is when I see good players don't get out.
Yeah.
How are you not getting out? What's the relationship? You guys don't have a relationship. You win and everybody's stuck. So I'm happy Zoe got on, man. It's told that let it be known.
Yeah. And the only thing we didn't cover is it's a lot of coaches that are coaching now that played for him. So it's like, how many players did he
Dude,
inspire to be a coach?
everybody.
And they're coaching in college.
Dante Marsh, literally
Marsh.
everything he gives is credited to Zoe
Yeah.
and coaching, even
Pat
going back to
Henderson.
school, getting degrees. Shout out to
Thomas
Pat.
Bird. Yeah.
All of that shit. T-Bird, Terrell Bird,
T-Bird
he coaches track and things like that. So
Yeah.
definitely, man. Wish we could have kept it longer, but I got student parent teacher conference, man. And,
we gotta go.
Definitely.
Man,
All right,
but
Ken.
season 3, y'all. I'm telling you, man, we got bombs in season 3, like big names. If this episode didn't tell you what's to come, I don't know what else you wanted to see, but man, we're just gonna keep following up with bangers after bangers. So definitely follow us on Instagram, the Rec Center Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Rec Center. I'm Kenny Edwards for Lorenzo Parham. We out.